the apartment complex had four apartments up top and four apartments on the bottom. That were all like, uh, what's the word? Uh, like they're all similar. Like they're all like the exact same houses, but like remade, or apartment buildings, whatever. And this person lived in the same apartment. Like if you go up, like the first door when you walk upstairs on your right, and the apartment porch is facing the apartment buildings and not the parking lot. That's the only place. The house that I was staying in there, that's the only place that I can remember being, like locked in a place, where I couldn't get out. Where I was like screaming to get out for like ever, like just screaming and yelling and crying until a police officer came by and then took me to my mom's house, to my house. As far as starving or anything, I can't think of any time where I starved. Um, I mean that's I mean I'm not yeah let's um, I don't remember. I can't say I don't think I've been like uniquely hungry when I was living with my mom, and in social services, kind of the same thing. Um, like a lot of odd moments, but nothing like that was usual of like me not being fed or something. Um, I don't know if that answered your question, but if you have more questions, or if you want me to reiterate the answer that I just gave, then I can, um, yeah, I can answer more questions. Did my mother want money? Um, I mean, I'm sure she wanted money. That's not why she did it. A lot of the stuff that she was doing was because of like she was being forced and pressured into it. Um, I wouldn't say pressured. I would say like forced. Um, and like all the money she got, like the money that we got from what's it called? Child support. All the money that my mom got from child support, she had to give to these people. Um, my mom had to give like her work checks to these people too. Like my mom always was always crying about money or complaining about money. Um, but yeah, so I guess so she did want money, but she wasn't getting money for what she was doing. At least as far as I know. Like this is one thing I forgot to mention. One time we went to a mall. Don't remember where this mall was, but I remember exactly what it looked like. And my mom took us to a job, like a what's it called, like those coin machines where they had like jawbreakers. And my mom brought me to them, and every time she put it in my mouth, she pushed my head in the corner of this thing, and I ended up just like crying. We did it like three times, and we walked up to a like a hope like there's like the people that there's someone there that was like watching. I don't know like what their position some of these questions, like, I'm not. If there's something that I say that's like, oh, I'm wondering this in my head, ask it, and I don't mind. I have no problem answering. I'm sorry this is intrusive. Has my mom ever been committed to an institution? No, you're definitely not being intrusive. Like investigative questions, I don't mind at all. Most questions I don't mind. But you're asking, yeah, has my mom ever been committed to an institution? Not that I know of, like not 100%. I'm not sure how I would find that out. My mom, like, I didn't know anything about my mom. I still kind of don't know anything about my mom. I was about to say until like a certain year, but I my mom never spoke to me. Like my mom always had my brother outside. My mom never spoke to my brother. Um, the only things like I remember is like the only positive thing I ever remember my mom ever teaching me and my brother is like elbows off the tables. That's literally it. My this woman who was babysitting us taught me how to tie my shoes. My mom didn't want me to know how to tie my shoes. She like it was a big issue for like a long time. She didn't want me to learn how to read. My brother had to teach me how to read um, with Goosebumps and Final Fantasy VII. Um, like I don't know. There's yeah. She's gosh. I'm not yeah. I'm not sure exactly where I was going with that. I go off on tangents, but my mom is just I don't know. I don't know anything about my mom. I don't know like what type of work she's had besides like a few jobs. I don't know um, her friends. Like as far as I know, she was never allowed to have friends, and the only people I ever saw her with was people that she ended up marrying or framing. Like I cannot picture someone in my mind that my mom knew that isn't dead, framed, or um, dead, framed, or something like that. Yeah. How did your family get involved with people like that? Well, okay, my aunt Debbie. These are the two things I have. My aunt Debbie told me that she didn't know how my mom met these people. She just knows, or my aunt Debbie was like, I can't believe your mom met those people. Like it was around how she was saying it. I got the impression that it was around middle school, high school, around the same time that she met my dad, if not a little bit before when she met my dad. When she met my dad, I think in high school in West Covina or Glendora. I think it was West Covina for some reason. And again, if I'm not answering questions well enough, please ask away again. Someone says, "Did she sell me?" She used me to get money for these people. She used me for she didn't really okay. These people used my mom to get her to do things to me, not giving my mom any credit on anything. Like I'm not trying to say my mom's not as bad as it seems. concept of, I would say, like nurturing, cherishing, positive, like loving person. Like that's I don't know. That's like there's a poem by Khalil Gibran. Uh, that's let me one second. Okay. I didn't want to name the book unless I actually remembered what the poem is. But Khalil Gibran has a poem on children. It's a he's a gosh he passed away. I think he wrote this in the 1920s or 19. This says 1963, so it's not as old as I thought. But how he writes about like the various things that he writes about. He writes on like just in this book he says on freedom, on law and order, on love, on all these different things. But his poem specifically on children and the concept of like parents and children, I think is like really on par. And basically what it is just like giving the plot like setting your kids up for success and like like kind of like you're raising a kid to have all of your benefits and none of your weaknesses, and then to like be open to new strengths. That's kind of like what I think as a parent. Where's my brother now? I believe my brother is in Arizona right now. What does your mom mean? What does your mom mean? And if that's not what she meant, then I'm asking, what does your mom mean to me? Oh yeah, no, that is kind of what I think the person asked. What are you talking about? Dead Kendall. I'm speaking about. Long story short, uh, when I was like two-ish, is the first time I got sexually assaulted, and my mom was a part of it. She set me up to go into this apartment where she took a picture of this guy sexually assaulting me, so that they could use that, so they, which I could explain, use that to keep the guy quiet about certain stuff that he'd have to do, and then this resulted in like people being framed. Like my mom took me to a guy's house where she used me as a nutcracker when this guy was sleeping, and framed him. He did nothing wrong. Um, my principal got framed. Crystal Rishinger's this woman in Western Colorado ended up dead and sexually assaulted. Because it's not just like drug trafficking and all these people are good in every other way. They do a lot of stuff. But yeah, this is like it's like I mean through social services, um, through like groups like groups like the Rainbow Family, which is not to say that like it's everyone who goes to rainbow gatherings, which in case you don't know are like the best way to explain them is like festivals. But if anyone who ever's been to a rainbow gathering, or most people that have been to a rainbow gathering, would get offended by that term, since you have to pay for festivals and rainbow's supposed to be free. But groups like that, the Rainbow Family, social services, my mother was able to get away with it because her friends in law enforcement and military, um, and those yeah, that just resulted in me being trafficked, and those were the means or the institutions or groups that I was trafficked through. Beautiful response. I wish you peace and justice. Thank you, Random RT. Again, if y'all have more questions, please ask more because it helps. The more like if I say something and it doesn't make sense, the more y'all ask questions, the more I can explain. And I might have a moment where like, oh, I'm having a trouble explaining this, so continue, so ask me another question on the same topic, and that helps me like recalibrate the perspective in which I'm going at something that I'm remembering with these thousands of other things, hundreds of thousands of other things I'm remembering from like many years ago or from very recent. And so that's why I ask if you to like ask questions multiple times or something. Is it just helps me my brain like settle and then re-look at things. And because when I get anxiety, like it's hard for like sometimes when I get asked questions, I start thinking like, okay, I'm going to answer the question, and then I come across like a thought, like something that I'm going to say before I say it, and I'm like, oh, like if I say this, I'm going to have to mention this, and if I mention this isn't going to make sense unless I mention all of this, but then this is going to be relevant even in the future later. So should I save it till then? And then as I'm talking and thinking, all these thoughts come to mind, and then it gets to a point where I have to say it just adds context. But I have other tattoos, like I have my chest. It says "All the world's a stage." Like I can just like, bam. That's by Shakespeare. We love your tangents. Don't ever think it's okay. Thank you. Oh my god. Blueberry Rama is my mother or brother, just so everyone knows. The person that just commented with the dot. Um, I'm traveling right now, so my phone is going in and out. I'm sorry for you, and I'm happy you are speaking out. Thank you. Do I love my brother as myself? Oh, you mean love other people as yourself? Are you responding to the quote that I was saying that I hear often or I've heard often? Because something like that, like love your neighbor as you love yourself or something like that. Um, and again, I'm not religious, but I do really like. I think there's good things to take from everything, and I do agree with that like notion. I wouldn't necessarily say that I love my mom as much as I love myself. I think I'm pretty neat, and I think my mom and my brother are pretty shitty. But I do care for them. Um, let's see if this person has showed up yet. Oh, cool. That person's online. Um, I might not have to set it up like this. Mm, okay, that didn't work. So let's take this off. Let's do this. I want to hear through the stereo. Oh wait, no microphone.
Oh, whoops. I did it again. It's my fault.
Okay, I hear you pretty.
Sorry.
No, you're
That
good. It's scratchy, but so far it's not worse. It's so far it's the same as it was yesterday.
okay.
Um, well, let's see. I want to say thank you for coming on. I'm going to answer a couple more questions that I have right here, and then we can start on your end.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fine.
awesome. Um, let's see. Someone says, "Are they in your life right now?" I noticed you said one comment just now. Yeah, I mean they're in my life in the sense that they're like commenting and posting stuff, and now like my brother's made claims that three people since I was he's like he has a few TikToks, and he's made a TikTok saying that like in comments saying that three people have now come out, like three people I've said that sexually assaulted me or that were involved in my trafficking thing. They now said that I sexually trafficked them or that I sexually assaulted them. Like Christos P. Mitchell says that I sexually assaulted him. Caitlin Gillette says that I sexually assaulted her. Um, and Corey Grant says that I sexually assaulted him. Um, all of which are nonsense, which I'm fine with like talking about, and I have comments in my thread or my videos that like talk about this stuff, but that like showed my brother's comments and my responses, etc. But yeah, the person that's Blueberry Rama who commented a moment ago is one of my brother or my mother's or these people's many accounts that they use to like jump on and like just start like acting that they're not like they'll act like they're other random people like, oh, I'm so sorry you have to go through this, Chris, like sounds really rough, and then like three comments later it'd be like my brother's dumb, like don't listen to him, and it's like I thought you were just talking to yourself, like like make up your mind. um yeah, and then someone says, hi bro, hope you're having a good day. Thank you. Okay, so I have online Andrea, and yesterday we did a long Q&A involving like this series of events in my story, and we made it all the way up till 18. And so this TikTok live as well as a YouTube streaming live, I'm going to have ready. I already have last ones up on my YouTube, and I'm going to have this one up also on my YouTube, so that it's easy to like follow and whatnot. Um,
And yeah, sweet. Okay, it says
Sorry, pulling up the document.
oh, no problem. Pull up the document. Let's see. Someone's asking how old am I? I am 32. I was born in 1988. Um, and okay, so do you have any questions? Speaking to and I always want to say Andrea. It's and
That's okay. You
yeah,
could say that too. But yeah, it's Andrea. It's white
and
girl style.
Andrea. I did this yesterday. I don't know why. Yeah. Is there any
It's okay.
questions that I mentioned yesterday, or any part of my story that I mentioned yesterday that you have questions about? Um,
Um, I remember thinking, and I forgot it when we were on live yesterday. But at some point, like you mentioned Judy like a few times, and it's just like it's not like a super big question, but just who is she like in relation
okay,
to
so
everybody? I don't know. Was she like a friend or a family or whatever?
So she was like she was a friend of my mother's. She was Joe and Willie's grandma, I believe. And Joe and Willie are these people that we always moved next to these people from like San
Okay.
Diego to Huntington to two places in Huntington Beach. And they said it was weird that my mom ended up moving next to these people all the time. But Judy ended up falling out of my mom's red car. Uh, and after that, I never heard from Judy. I don't know if she died. I know she died eventually. I don't know if she died from that or passed away. But as far as I know, she first met Judy when we lived in Oceanside, the apartment building where we lived upstairs. And my mom got me and my brother Power Rangers, and I got the Green Ranger. My brother got the Red Ranger, and Willie took the breastplate off of the Green Ranger and hid it. And my mom took that and then like got rid of it and then told me that Willie was actually the one that stole it or like she was just trying to cause
Okay.
trouble.
Yeah.
But that's how Judy was like their grandma. And then
Okay.
yeah, and then my mom
So were they kids?
they
Uh,
they were when I was at this apartment where I was had the green Power Ranger, my brother had the red Power Ranger.
yeah.
I I was like just before starting school, I think. And then I remember like Willie was tall enough to where he could put. Let's see if you can't. Okay, you see the top of my fridge? My
Hmm.
kitchen's a mess.
That's okay.
Like Willie was tall enough. Like, I was in his living room. He had a TV stand that was like maybe this tall. And Willie took the Power Ranger chest up and put it like he was tall enough to put up there. And then when we lived in Valley Circle, I mean, I want to say he was at least out of high school by the time I was in middle school, and so I can't really give an
Okay.
age, but like he was younger than like he lived with his brother and his dad. Um, yeah,
Okay. I was wondering. Um, okay. So they were all living together, and then so they would move, and then you guys would move shortly after, like
yeah.
relatively in the neighborhood, like next to them a few
With
times.
yeah,
That type.
well, we moved from the apartment there where we first met Joe and Willie, and then we moved to this yellow apartment where my mom had a dog named Stella, and then we moved to Tom's mansion, and then Tom was having a divorce, and then we moved to Valley Circle, and when we moved to Valley Circle, we moved right above Joe and Willie,
Okay.
and then they moved, and then we moved to the apartment next door to them, and I don't think,
Oh.
and this is what I think, is that they were using Joe and Willie and their family as like familiar people for us to be around so that more people didn't remember me and my brother to kind of keep it like because that was always the thing with my principal being framed and a lot of the staff workers, which is something I've been trying to illustrate through all my stories, is that one thing that they've constantly tried to do is keep people around me like minimal. the substitute
Yeah,
teacher
keep you
with
alienated.
yeah, the substitute teacher that where all the kids, where my mom baked a cake and telling me to give it to everyone in my class, and everyone got sick, and one girl I was told died. I don't know if that happened, but it was the day that we had a substitute. She was arrested. My principal, Mr. Glasser, was framed. Three staff members at my group homes were framed. Layla, who was a staff member at the group home, told that she couldn't work there anymore. She had to leave or do something else because that like we interacted with each other too much, and she would remember me. Um, and yeah, so Joe and Lily, everyone that had like a long term, Mr. Lockwood, who's someone that I also mentioned that me and Jessica Egan,
Yeah,
who I believe Jessica Egan helped frame, um, and because of the conversations me and her had, and she has a military background, um, and yeah, so that's just, I mean, there's so much there. That's just one of the many themes. Is like I was only allowed to be around their people, like people that they
yeah.
yeah are involved with.
They're safe people, right?
Yeah,
It makes sense. Well, safe people as far as what they could do, alienated and people that already knew the script is only.
yeah, I'm gonna answer a couple questions right here real quick. Do you,
Yeah,
yeah, just think about a couple yourself or whatever. Um, someone says you mentioned that's where I'm at now. Is that where that happened? Oh, you mentioned Colorado. That's where I'm at now. That's where some stuff happened. That's where Crystal Rishinger, she was sexually assaulted and murdered. Was in Crestone, Colorado. Daniel Woods was also like being sexually assaulted and groomed by this guy named Garen Beester, who I have a picture up on my YouTube channel where eventually I'm pretty sure I did this. I showed his house. Where like this giant compound with like three courtyards and like all these different rooms everywhere and like saunas and stuff like that. Um, that happened in Colorado. There's a lot of stuff that happened in Boulder, in Netherlands. Um, Yeah, I mean, a lot of it happened everywhere. So some stuff happened in Lordsburg, New Mexico, Silver City, New Mexico, Deming, New Mexico, um, Virginia, Albion, New York, parts of it's a little bit of everywhere, a little bit of everywhere. Hi, bro, nice to see you again. Hello, acrobatic. Um, Kansas City, Kearney, Nebraska. Wait, Kansas. Yeah, I said Kearney, Nebraska, thinking that was part of Kansas. Um, Nothing in Kansas City. I've been through there a few times. I did know people in Kansas, Kelsey Hall, who would be able to like shed like nothing specific, but she would act like corroborate that like, oh, I was there and this is what happened. And I believe her name was Kelsey Hall, if I remember correctly. And he knew a Kurt something. I have some of these photos and pictures and names set up. I just don't have it in front of me. And then in reality, you are lucky to be alive. And even though you want to love your neighbor like yourself, absolutely nobody expects you to. What these people did are undescribable. No, thank you. I appreciate your like your I don't know, your willingness to like conversate. Um, No, and I agree that like the whole expectation thing. Most people probably expect me to like be aggressively like hate. Like I have a lot of anger and frustration and possibly hatred, but like a lot of people would probably expect me to not have any love. Um, please share Kansas City people while I'm in a live. I'll remind you. Yeah, totally. I'm gonna get through this conversation as much as I can because this is someone's particular time they're giving me. And Um, yeah, I can do that possibly after we're done speaking today or something. Yeah, no problem, D Wagner. And I'm speaking to um Andrea.
good job. It's okay. Like I'll get back on, with you. Like if we don't get it all done in a couple hours, so answer like what you need. You know what I mean? Just breathe, like. okay, you know, and um, I'm not in. I mean, it's important, you know, to get everything out there as soon as possible. But I mean, we can do it again, you know, if everything doesn't get wrapped up tonight or whatever. You don't feel like that. Just breathe, honey. Okay, just breathe.
Yeah. No, thank you. Let's see. So yeah, was there any questions? You asked about Judy. That was pretty early on, and then I went. I'm just gonna recap everything. So went
Yeah,
from Oceanside to Huntington Beach, Valley Circle, where we lived next to Tiffany Harbeck, this kid named Gage, Jack, and his older brother, um, Lauren Lowe. Behind, on the other side of the wall, Angie Reedy lived there, and then Matt Gilligan, and then this guy I only knew as Sonic because that was like his gangster name. Um, but his little sister was in the same class as me, and then they actually Sonic and his little sister, their mom, bought me school supplies because my mom refused to buy me school supplies, saying that um, like I didn't need school supplies because like she would tell people that like I had them, and then like for me this was happened with my PE clothes.
yeah,
My school ended up giving my mom PE clothes for me because she said she wanted to buy me clothes, and then my mom would say that the school's refusing to give her the PE clothes that she actually bought, um, and that she like I should just walk around PE or whatever, and that was one of the many things that assisted me failing. And it wasn't just PE; it was a bunch of stuff. But so then there was Valley Circle. We moved to Schaefer Circle where we lived next to Anthony Ansavino, his mom Cindy. This is where Corey Grant, it's Anthony's cousin, one of the people that my brother says now I sexually assaulted. Which at this time he was like, this time I was really young when we first lived there. But what they're referring to, I think happened when I was like 14 or 15, and Corey Grant is like 3 years older than me or so, maybe 2 years, and he's like 6, 7 foot. Not to say that you can't sexually assault a bald male person, but like the context is just like if you listen to my brother's messages, it's just silly. Um, but then so Anthony Ansavino, Corey Grant, we lived next. That's where Long lived. Was in the same cul-de-sac, and my mom made fun of Long in second grade for having a name, the name Long. And then when my mom found out that we lived next to Long, she had Long taken, this is from what I understand, Long taken to social services, and then the dad committed suicide because his son got taken to social services. Um, let's see, there's Long, the Frasers. We live next to Marty Frazier, Chris Frazier, Mike Frazier, Annie Frazier, Katie Frazier, and I think Lori Frazier. And they said that they had, and this is something I don't know if it's true or not because I get gaslit a lot. I can't remember if my brother or someone else is telling me this, but they said one of their sisters wasn't their real sister, and it was someone to like watch us. And this is something I was told back then. Um, and I already mentioned the Mormon because like right next to the Fraziers who lived a really big Mormon family, and they were really cool and nice. I remember one day I went to go sleep at their house like as an overnight thing, and my mom made me take medication, and it made me like just weird, made me act really, really weird. Um, let's see. Um, oh, I can hear.
that's probably so that you just think they wouldn't want you over.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're asking. I didn't hear that first part, but I think I caught it. Was
Uh, yeah, just so you would, be out of it when you're at their house somewhere that wasn't a familiar space for them, and um, they could kind of control how you'd be behaving in an uncontrolled environment.
totally. Yeah, no, that's exactly what was happening. And then from there, we went to I went to me and my brother went to go live with her dad. My brother went to go stay at Drew's house. My brother got dropped off by Drew's mom, and then my dad got arrested for abandoning my brother. And then I had to go with him to to the police station where me and my brother got taken to social services, even though we were staying with my dad and my aunt Debbie. and my aunt had kids that she was raising, and there's no reason why I shouldn't have been able to stay with her. But we got taken to social services, Orangewood, CRF, weird stuff happened there. Got back out, went back to Huntington Beach in Yorktown. That's where I mentioned Jessica Mitchell, Scott Million, Caitlin Gillette, Christos Mitchell, um, where I was sexually assaulted by this guy named Andrew, and then moved that Scott Million set up to do this. And then I moved from there to Burkeston Adams with my mom. My mom, the person that we lived with, this our roommate. My mom had this guy arrested because my mom got like supposedly got sick, and then Lacey just like who I was with, she was like, "Hey, let's just go over to your house real quick." And I'm like, "Okay." It was really weird. We're at her house, and we walked over to my house. She got a text or something. We walked over to my house, and there's a bunch of police in my like the backyard kind of thing or the back porch thing, and the cops say to the guy, she's like, that we're living with, he's like, tell him that you're sorry about what happened to his mom. And he says that he's sorry, and then they arrest him for being involved in what happened to my mom. I think my mom poisoned herself or something, and then like pretended that he did something because he read through my mom's laptop and came up to me and told me he's like, you don't know what they're doing to you. They're making you into like he used like homophobic terminology, but like I think his intentions were good. He's like they're making you into like a fairy freak, like all this stuff that they're having you do or whatever. Um, and then yeah, so he got arrested after that. My mom's went to her second time went to a trip to Florida. Uh, told me to go hang out with my friends, and then we went to a park. I was the only one that got arrested. My mom, I went back to the house. Everything was cleared out of the house since like the hour or two that I was gone. My mom took all of that, or the everything. My mom took everything in the house, and then I got taken back into social services. When I get back into social services, Orangewood, that's where Ray and Barrett got framed. Ray with the fake drawings that Luther, who was sexually assaulting me and other kids, him and my mom drew penises on the drawings that Ray was drawing for other kids. And then Barrett got arrested. Luther told me that they got Barrett for like trying to abduct me, which isn't true. Barrett was just one of the few staff that was recognizing the bad stuff that was happening. Um, and then I got sent to Kearney, Nebraska by social services to get molested. And then I got sent, oh, it was first to Denver, then back, and then back to Kearney, Nebraska, and then back. And I then ran away from social services, emancipated when I was 18. And then, yeah, so let's see, emancipated when I was 18. So we're at 18 and older. Is there any questions you have about anything that I just mentioned?
Yeah, specifically, what do you mean by, kind of asked you last night, but I think I tied it in another question, and so that got answered more. What do you mean by got slammed by Luther and the police? Like, what do you
That's
mean he got like just disappeared, or
slammed.
um,
When I say slammed?
yeah,
Oh, oh,
yeah, you
well,
said a
well,
lawyer got slammed
oh,
by
yeah.
Luther and the police.
The
Sorry.
Luth, yeah, no, the lawyer got slammed like how do I explain this? So like you walk
Oh,
in,
like physically?
yeah, like you walk in,
Oh, okay.
right? And then so in the group home there's 15 boys, 15 girls. You walk into like the main walkway, and then when you walk in, you're literally like you walk into the main door, it's this little room like literally this big, whatever. And so you walk in, there's a couch to your left. There's like a door with like two doors, like it's half half, and so there's the top door that's always like closed, and the bottom one's closed, the top one's always open. You walk in, you can see into the manager's office. Like there's the manager, the person who runs the program. That's Purnell.
Okay.
He's not in this office. Nikita, the other managers are usually in this office. But this guy walks in, and this is from like a lawyer that saw me after I got back from Nebraska and saw weird stuff was happening. He walked in, and I was in the hallway, and I just turn and see the lawyer, and this is like where a lot like I'm really emotional at this time, etc. This is where like I just got trafficked, etc. To Kearney, Nebraska and back, and like a lot of weird stuff was happening. And so the lawyer comes in. He's like, "Hey, with someone from law enforcement. They're out front. They want, like, what is this place? Why are all these kids here? What's going on here? I'm told that I'm here. I need to like take you, so it's safe. Then Luther runs up behind him, like the guy walks in to the doorway. There's the hallway, Lakita's office. Turn to the left. There's the boys' hall, and then you turn to the right. There's the girls' hall. The guy turned to the left was walking and was still inside like the dining room, which is not in the boys' hall. And as he was in the dining room, I was in the boys' hall, and he was saying this stuff, and like throws him on the ground. And the guy's on the ground saying, "I think you just broke my hip." Um, and
Oh,
yeah,
oh, okay.
he's like, "I think you just broke my hip. I need um, yeah, I just want to make sure people were hearing me. He said, I think you just broke my hip." And then this cop comes out of nowhere, and the guy, like, he pulls him outside. And the guy's like, no, you don't know what's going on here. He said, I'm here with law enforcement. Where'd they go? So the people that, like, had him come in disappeared. And this guy that he's talking to, he's like, wait, you're not from here. Who are you? You're not law enforcement. And all you keep, I don't see me and all the kids and everyone hears this. He's like, you're not police. And he starts yelling for help. Like at the top of his lungs, yelling for help. Like this guy's not a police officer. Help me. Um, and then yeah, and then what I thought you were talking about at first before you mentioned the lawyer was like when I was like Luther would there was like the same hallway. Over here, like 10 feet, is the door to the kitchen, right? And then here's let's see, actually, like this. So I'm facing this way. Right on the left is the doorway to the game room, which is the living room, right? And then the boys' hall is forward for like most of the room, and then three rooms, if I remember correctly, up to the right, and then it's the dining room. Luther,
Hold on.
yeah,
It's like choppy. For some reason, I don't know when you're turned that way. Now the sound is like in and it's like waves.
oh, sorry. Should I speak louder? Is
No,
that
it's okay.
okay? Yeah. So Luther, for the longest time, he was sitting on his chair. Well, not sitting on his chair, but like he's like they're supposed to sit in this area because you can watch see down both hallways. But Luther, for the longest time, he would like pick me up and like he was. This is the last time it happened. He like picked me up and he was like grabbing at me. He's like, "Oh, you like the big boys, don't you? And you do this for a long time. You're not supposed to touch kids at your social services." But then one of the kids, Jordan, was in the day room and he walks. He's like, "I can't fucking take this anymore. I can't stand this anymore." And he walks out. Well, you're not allowed to stand up unless you ask. You're not allowed to leave the day room unless you ask. You're not allowed to leave the hallway unless you ask. And he just like walked out. And then he was in Lakita's office, and then Lakita walks in a minute later, and she's like, "This is just how she sounded." I'm not trying to be like racist or anything, but she's like, "You better put that boy down before he pressed charges against you." And then uh, he just like literally he sort of like holding me up and just drops me. I like fall on my back, and I kind of like after hearing what Lakita said and how Jordan reacted and everything that was going on with everything that was happening, and then getting off my back,
Yeah.
I was scared, you know. And so I kind of just had this like what's going on here. And I walk into my room, which is like down the main the boys' hallway is the first one to the left. I walk into my room, and Luther walks in. He walks in behind me, and I was like, I don't feel safe here anymore. I don't feel safe. Like I want you to get away from me. And he's like, no, you better not tell anyone that I sexually assaulted you, because everyone that gets sexually assaulted there's a 60% chance that they will be predators, that they will go and assault people themselves. And so, because it's more than half, that they're going to have to make sure they're going to have to presume that I'm a sexual assaulter because I was just sexually assaulted. And that's one of the many statistics that they use to keep people quiet. Um,
Right. I think that's what I confused or just kind of meshed those
that's true.
together being in that part. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, let me read some
But
of these.
like I remember you speaking that as a separate incident. Yeah, you're fine. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
read some of these questions real quick. Let's see. Your mom sabotaged you. You were a blessed man. Yes, you did. How am I? I'm okay. When you have more time, I'm interested in what you meant by the tattoos against your will. No, totally. um, Sorry, but too much detail. Just need the incidents. So sorry that you went through this. Um, what specific incidences are you looking for? 2020? 20, Aaron? Yeah. I don't. Yeah, someone says it's his CPTSD. His traumas makes him mix up details sometimes. I wouldn't say like I mean, it's more so I'm just talking about everything, and so like it just all like it makes sense in my mind, and that's why I ask for people to like re-explain or re-ask questions, and so I can like, or one of the many reasons I ask people to ask questions is so I can re-explain everything, like again and again and again until it makes sense. Um, let's see. So social services, Kearney, Nebraska. There's two other kids, this red-haired kid and this kid with like dirty blonde hair. That they when they turned 18, they were having these kids try and have sex with everyone in kid with all the other kids before they turned 18. When they turned 18, they had both of these kids two different times it happened run into the group home, try and save as many. Like this guy's like one of them came in, the dirty blonde hair kid came in. He's like, uh, an FBI agent and your mom's outside. They want us to grab as many kids as possible and get out of here as quick as possible because it's not safe here. Happened twice. He got arrested, and then the ginger kid got arrested for trying to abduct children the moment they turned 18 because they were being used to to the staff members, Purnell and Luther, were using these kids to have sex with other kids, and then just to muddy up the water, to just cause for pleasure and to muddy up the water to cover for other people. That's something that I didn't mention yesterday that I wanted to mention. And there was another kid there that was from he was he was there from juvie and he got placed into social services because he got into a fight in school and then accidentally killed someone that he punched. Like I guess he punched someone's nose and he died or whatever. But this kid got arrested. Like Luther told everyone to go. Like we all went to school and Luther told the kid to stay back. And then I don't know why I went back. I think maybe I forgot something because the school's in the back of the group home to keep it all like undercover. My opinion. Um, but I went back and the kid was being walked out by the police and the kid was crying and this was one of Luther's targets. There was also a Mexican kid, like my first week I got there, that Luther said that he told the kid to steal when they were at a TR, like when you do well you can be out, and Luther told him
What's
to steal stuff from the
what's a
mall.
TR?
Temporary release is what it's short
Oh,
for.
okay.
Yeah, temporary
Okay.
release. And Luther told this kid to steal, and then Luther later on said that he's not responsible for it because he's not the one that did it, and that if the kid was tempted to do it, that's not his fault. Um, and the guy, yeah, they're all fucking delusional. But
Yeah, a lot of like gaslighting things, manipulation.
um,
That's pretty much where I mean every story is what that. But your next one, or that you have in the document about your mom telling social services that you're handicapped and a sexual predator.
yeah, she would tell. Like I remember being in Miss H's classroom at this group home, right? And then like I remember
And
for like
was that was before your? I'm sorry, that was before your I just lost the word. Your freedom, your emancipation,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
But
Or was that
before I emancipated, when I was still in CRF, still in social services at this group home CRF, Miss H, one of the teachers, every for like months, all we did was color pictures. That's all we did was color pictures. And then in another classroom, all we did was spell like three, four-letter words. And then finally,
like as teenagers?
yeah,
As
as
teenagers.
people in high school, like this group home caters to 12 or 13 to 17-year olds, and so everyone's like, and we're not like like special ed. Everyone there's like normal, like not say as special as abnormal, but I think people understand what I mean. But
Right.
I remember having a like someone, I think it was Jordan or this another kid. mentioned that like they didn't want to do this work anymore, and they said that they had to do the work so that everyone was on the same pace. And I was like, who can't do this or something like that? And they said that that Miss H was told that they shouldn't do any work that's too hard because then I will get sad and angry that everyone is so much further than I am educationally. And so then they made the
Oh,
education bar like fifth grade level. And so no one learned anything. And then when they told me that, I was just like started getting a panic attack. Um, and it's just yeah, like I don't know for sure if Miss H. I don't think Miss H was involved. I think she was just doing her job, what she was told. Because even Luther and Miss H got into a few arguments about stuff. Luther literally told us to not listen to Miss H anymore because she was teaching us the devil's work. Like I meet a lot of good Christians, but
yeah.
Luther, there's two people there that were like Luther was particularly like kill in the name of God kind of person. Like they would have after school, him and this other staff member named Sheldon would like sit people around. They would talk about how dinosaur bones were put there by the devil to fool people, and that we shouldn't listen to the teachers because they're like doing the devil's work. Um, and all this other staff members had to tell them to stop. Like they're like, "What do you like?" This is Barrett was one of them. He's like, "You got to tell them to stop." Luther tried to say that Barrett was molesting me in group homes because Barrett was trying to comfort me with the assaults that I was receiving from Luther. And it was just like constantly this constant game. Um, let's see.
Yeah, to separate you from actual safe people.
Yeah. Um, and then let's see. Someone says, "How am I doing? I'm okay." But yeah. So we have 18 emancipated from social services, group homes, ran away. Um, Before I go on from there, is there anything else that you wanted to ask about group homes or anything?
Um, yeah, so you didn't wind up going back with your aunt and uncle with Veronica and Kevin because your mom told them you were a predator also, right? I just
Well,
want to
my
make sure
mom,
I read that
yeah,
right.
my mom,
She told them that after you went there.
well, when they were coming to CRF to see if they wanted to make it a like a good fit, whatever, for like social services, they needed to see this stuff. Um, when they were coming to do that, my mom came in on a TR, and then like when I was having a thing with them, my mom just showed up, and then my mom told me to like they were leaving and they got into their car. My mom told me to wait out like where I was sitting, and then she walked up to the car, and then my mom walked away from the car like really like heated and angry, and then my uncle Kevin was like, said that you're still, I can't believe that you're still doing this shit. Like you got to stop this. And then I walked up to the car and I was like, what just happened? And they wouldn't tell me. And then later, when I was living with my aunt Veronica, she said it was after that she made the claim that I was molesting her two younger. I have two sets of twins, two Noah and Zach, and then two girls. I can't remember the name. But she was saying that I molested her two daughters, and she said that she should have known better after what my mom told her. And then my uncle Kevin told me that he knows that it's all bullshit, um, and that they're just like this sometimes. I should just like try and wait it out or something like that. Then sometime after that, he took me back to social services, saying that we were going to Disneyland or something. And then like I just remember like we were sitting in the car and we had all my stuff with me. We were driving by the Anaheim Stadium, and I was like, "I'm going back to group homes, right?" And they're like, "Aren't I?" And he's like, "Yeah." Um, and then yeah, so that was with my uncle Kevin and Aunt Veronica when I was still in social services.
Okay. Right before you got out. Okay.
Someone says, "Is Luther a good guy or a bad guy?" Sorry, my phone cut out. Luther is a very, very, very bad person. Um, what year was this? What story was I just saying? I was just talking about
Right
social.
before you were emancipated when you were at your aunt and uncle's and then you went back home.
so my aunt and uncles, I went back into social service. I was in social services from like 11 or 12 to like 13, and I went back into social services from 16 to like 17 and a half, and that's where I started running away, was like 17 and a half, right after I got back from Kearney, Nebraska. In like 2006. How did you clear your name after these accusations? I never, I, I never went to court for any of this stuff. This is just stuff that they've told me. And then here's the thing too. My aunt Veronica, she's a nurse. My uncle Kevin works in the military, like fixing planes, for the military. My my aunt Veronica's sister's husband's a sheriff. Their nephew is a sheriff, or their son is a sheriff. All my family is like law enforcement, military, with a few like odd jobs. There's no logical reason why they wouldn't press charges on someone that they say that's 15 that molested their daughters, and then instead take that kid to social services and not tell anything. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Um, but yeah, so I've never been officially charged with any of this stuff. They've just made these claims, I think, to just wear down my like my thought, like how I perceive myself and how I perceive other perceive me. It was just like my brother now has posts where he's like, three people have now come forward that you molested them. You've been doing this since you were 14, Kevin. You don't remember? Like, this is the kind of shit that they just like. Didn't you know you've always been molesting people? Like, like I can't handle the fucking bullshit. And it was all by all the people that my brother says came forward are all people that molested me. So like, it's interesting. But so we're now yeah. So any other questions around any of that?
Not really, I guess, about what we covered. Just next, you talk about is it your aunt to her sister's house, or
What was the question?
to play
What,
with it in a room all by yourself? It starts. So after you had a talk with Erica, where she accused you of, your kids and stuff. It says sometime after she had me go to her sister's house with her husband and kid, and said I could play with the kid all alone in the room and nobody would bother us. I remember the kid asking me
yeah,
weird questions.
yeah. I went over to my aunt Veronica's sister's house, and they had us play in her in my cousin's second cousin Christ removed. I don't know how this stuff works. Uh, we went to like my cousin's house or whatever, and
Right.
or I guess my cousin's cousins. So we went to my cousin's house. They told us for me and him to go in the bedroom alone, and then he later said, like he was in the room, he was asking me questions about like law enforcement, like do I think, and we ended up talking about like cops or whatever. And I ended up saying that like
Mm-hmm.
uh, something like it was something like an objectively truthful thing. Like I was like not all cops are good people or something like that. And then he got up and like ran out into the living room, and then he was sitting in between his mom and I think his dad was there too. And they're like, "Go back in the room. Like your aunt Veronica's gonna come get you." Like I did something wrong. And then later, years and years later, Aunt Veronica made her kids take a picture with me as she randomly found me as I was like I hitchhiked from like Colorado into California, or maybe it was Alaska or something. I think actually this was when I came back from Homer, Alaska. I came back from Homer, Alaska, if I remember correctly. And then I was walking in downtown Huntington Beach, and I just got there that night. And then my aunt Veronica randomly just found me. She was with everyone, and they had her kids take pictures with me, and that was it. And that's like the last time I ever spoke to these people. Um, up until
That's strange.
Yeah, up until somewhat recently, where my aunt Veronica,
Yeah.
yeah, and my yeah, I don't want to jump around too much. So yeah, so we're at yeah. So any other questions?
That's much that, and then your uncle took you back social services and said it was Disneyland. And then, oh, your mom asked me after my mom asked me after a TR when she brought me back to the group home who worked here were religious. You told her about religious and she confronted him
Yeah,
that you
well,
were
yeah,
gay and
that's how
like tried to.
that's how she got. That's how I think that they got Luther on like their team, because she specifically asked me. She's like, "Who in this group home is like particularly religious?" I thought she was making a joke, so my mom always made fun of religious people, and I think that
Oh,
was,
okay.
but she would pretend in front of her friends that she was really religious, and that her kids were just
Hmm.
like out of control demon children. But they're like, "Who here is particularly religious?" I thought she was joking. I was like, "Luther, like, are you going to make fun of him or something?" And then that's when all this stuff, like later on, all this kid stuff came about with Luther. And then Luther even told Barrett, he's like, "You're not going to be a part of what we're a part of because of like who, like the type of person you are, because you're gay. You're not going to be part of like this secret group." Um, and that's also the same time when Luther told me that I was my fault that Ray was murdered, um, because Luther and my mom framed Ray. Is in that same conversation he was standing in the same spot. Barrett was to his left. Yeah, that's where he mentioned that also. That's also where he mentioned that the Hispanic kid, when I first got there, that he framed the Hispanic kid, or that it wasn't his fault because he told the kid what to do, and that the kid, what's it called, like gave in to temptation, and then he's not a bad person for like acknowledging temptation. It's like God's work bullshit, which I'm not anti-religious, but like there's people that
Yeah.
use all their
Yeah.
like politics, religion, atheism, whatever, anything. There's people that use anything to condone horrible behavior.
Right. Definitely.
Because I've met good people, I've met good
Justification.
religious people, I've met good people from all walks of life, but Luther, yeah,
Definitely.
wasn't one of them.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think most people know you're just speaking from your experience, and there's extreme peoples in all walks of life and all mindsets can be carried to an extreme where
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
else.
Yeah, everything can be carried to an extreme. I'm gonna answer a couple questions right here, unless you have a couple
Okay.
more questions. Let's
No,
see.
you're good.
Let's see. Very dangerous accusations. Agreed. Oh, I didn't even see this, Katie. Sorry. You said I have a photographic memory. I do have a pretty decent memory. Um, let's see. Someone says hello, hello. Is the lady I'm talking to a professional? I don't believe so, which is fine. She said she's like no. She's like I'm not a professional, no. Which is fine because I've been wanting to just, and I'm willing to do more conversations like this with anyone. Uh, just because the more time I explain my story, the more like details I
You need
haven't mentioned.
professionals.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
need a professional to have a conversation with you.
yeah. I do. Yeah, I do need a. What was just mentioned? I do need a professional to assist in this, asking me questions and everything, just because it's more proficient. Um, but yeah. Any questions before I continue with the next step, or do you have any other questions yourself about, before we start 18 and older? No. Okay, so we're just gonna dive right into 18 and older. Okay, and my memories for this stuff is a little fuzzy. Like the not say my memory of things happening, but the series of events, like when they took place, is a little jumbled. Okay. Emancipated from social services. I was homeless, and the guy that I was dating, La- Justin Larson, who supposedly he said that he was Cody Larson's younger brother who and Cody Larson was my brother's friend. Cody Larson was hanging out with my brother when Justin showed up, and then someone went up to Cody saying that Justin Larson is saying that he's his brother. Cody went up to Justin and almost got into a fight with him because he's like, "You're not my fucking brother. Why would you say that?" And then uh, I ended up getting a job at Subway and then getting an apartment across the street from Bellaterra, where I had these two roommates. really horrible experiences there. Worked at Subway in downtown Huntington Beach with Mike Lang, his wife Autumn, Eric Hamilton, Nicole Williams. All these people have stuff to mention. Eric Hamilton experienced firsthand how my brother would treat me. My brother tried to steal food from Subway when Autumn, my manager, was there at the time. And my brother said that he was going to cause a scene and get me fired unless I helped him steal food. My manager saw that. Autumn saw that. Nicole Williams had to teach me how to drive, and that's important to note because Nicole Williams taught me to drive. My mom said in a conversation that I have on YouTube with this person I'm speaking with, mentioned she said that I stole her vehicle when I was like 16, 17 to find this kid named Michael randomly in Los Angeles to abduct him. That was their ploy, and so that's when it makes sense. Someone taught me how to learn how to drive when I was 18, so I've never had a car. Um, but let's see. So yeah, Main Street, Huntington Beach. I used to sell pot at this time. That's also how I made money a little bit. I can't hear.
Oh,
There you go.
okay. That before you went to Olympia when you were selling
Yeah, yeah.
the.
Before I,
Okay, I wasn't sure.
yeah, before I went to Washington, I was working in at Subway, and then like I knew, let's see, and then I hung out with Jessica Cool, Mia Hartman, Yasmin Kajavapur, um, um, and Daniel. This is when I first met this guy named Daniel Lyons, who will become more relevant as in future conversations.
Well,
Uh,
you're still in Huntington, or when you went up to Washington?
he'll become relevant in like 4 or 5 years again. Um, and then let's see. I mean, Hartman. Oh, and another guy named Jordan. I can't remember his last name, but he dated this woman named Carrie Romero. Um, Ryan Farmer. Ryan Farmer. Um, yeah, all these people are relevant in different ways. I ended up losing my job at Subway because Andrew, who I mentioned when I was like 15 as the guy that Scott Million set up for me to be molested by, that lived across the street from Christos P. Mitchell. His younger brother came to my work with a police officer, and the police officer spoke to my boss saying that they needed to fire me because of like what I really am. But they never ever told me what was happening, so I could never address what was happening. I could never be like, no, that didn't happen, or let's go to court and see what happens. Let's do it.
Yeah.
None of that ever came out. Um, and um, yeah, ended up losing my job there. And then I lived at my apartment for a couple more months, and then around this time, I got a message from uh, Cody, if I remember his name, someone that I knew at CRF. I got a message from Cody asking me, like we were talking, and he was like, "Oh, you should come up to Washington and like live with me. Here's my address. Like you could live with me. It'd be really cool." And then I ended up getting on a train. I think I must have paid for the ticket. I don't remember how I got this ticket, but I got on a train and then rode up to Lakewood slash Tacoma, Washington. I'm gonna answer some questions, and if you have questions or yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
let's see. This is
No, actually, I'm gonna take a second. I'll be right back. I'm listening, but I'm gonna go on mute.
sure, sure. Someone asks, "What are you grateful for?" Like, I mean, there's things that I could say that are like not as bad as they could be. Like, I could have acid poured on me. I could be being burnt alive. That would be less good than what it is now. Um, I could be freezing outside. I could be hungrier. But like, I don't know. It's just like meh. Like it's just like I'm happy to have like certain things, but it's stuff that like I know can be taken from me at any second for no reason at all, or for me being like a good person essentially. I know that's like egotistical to say possibly, but yeah. Um, I don't know, like, I can't say I'm grateful for anything. I think that like living is a right. I think that like food and stuff is a right. Like people don't have the right. Like I don't need to be grateful for being treated with respect. I don't need to be grateful for having the basic needs and rights that every human should have. That's not to say that I'm ungrateful, but I feel like that term grateful has a weird twist on it. I drove to Lakewood, south of Tacoma. High protector system. Hello. Um, what do all these people keep saying what you really are? You never say. Well, I've mentioned it in this conversation. Um, oh, can't block the truth is my brother's account. Uh, yeah, can't block the truth or Chris. If you look at the account, you'll see that he has zero followers and zero uh people following him, or he's not following anyone or zero followers. Guess you're not going to be able to live with your brother again, huh? Uh, well, since you're my brother, you could speak for him, obviously. This is what they do every time they just get on. They just cause random drama, like trying to be as chaotic as possible. But let's see. Any other questions before I continue on with the next part of my story? I said go live, not live with me. Yeah, thank you, Wagner. Yeah, I was trying to go live with you. You weren't around. You didn't give me any messages. You didn't try and get a hold of me at all, Chris. I'm happy to go live with you. I just don't like. Yeah, I mean, I see it as one of your many downfalls because everything that you've posted, every the four videos you have, they do more harm to you than good, but you don't realize that for some reason. Your YouTube video does way more harm for you than good. So just keep on trucking along. Keep on doing it. You're doing great. Like every comment you've made in all your profiles, I've saved those screenshots. So like I have like, I don't know, I have all your shit kind of covered. You didn't misspeak. You gave my brother says he misspoke. He gave a very detailed story of what really happened. And then when it came out that I have a recording of my mom that discredited what he said, now he misspoke an entire story. How old is my brother? My brother's like 34. And why is he doing this to me? Well, my brother mostly does it. Same reason why my mom did it is they were being threatened. My brother has three kids, one of which got taken from him. The other two kids, like, are being threatened. I'm sure his oldest kid is probably being like, I don't know if he still cares for him or not, but like if he does, he's probably being threatened. My brother's also being threatened with, if like someone says like, why is he doing this to me? The easiest way to say it is like, if you were being accused, even if let's say you're a criminal, let's say you traffic people and kill people or whatever. If someone were to accuse you of that, would you be like, yep, it's me? Like, probably not. But then the other more like the less obvious reasons why people don't admit to crimes or why people agitate witnesses is everything else that I mentioned. Uh, you get messages from people.
Hey, can I say
Yeah,
on
go for it.
that?
Yeah, go for it.
Um, just one is that um, it would be really easy if like schedule a time to video instead of you know him assuming like you should just go live with him like 24 hours a day
Yeah,
or
no, he.
you know
I
and
don't think
really
he.
just the same
Yeah,
way like 3 p.m. tomorrow, this time tomorrow, you know, this time after in an hour. And
yeah. I well,
I find that really suspicious. They're just in and out and in and out.
yeah. It's
And then,
all it is all it is like stuff like this. He's the only reason why he's here is so he can post stuff like this. I get messages every day about people saying they see the truth now. Like everyone sees how he really is. Like ignore what he's saying. And my brother has like messages saying like, "Oh, I have so much proof up." He has mostly fake messages, none of which prove anything. That's not like I have literal fucking recordings like that about Crystal Rissinger's death, about my mom and my brother making up lies, about so much shit, like so much shit. And there's so much more that I have too. So keep on going, Chris. I have not posted up all my recordings. I've not posted up all my pictures. I've not posted up like maybe 10% of what I have. So fucking like make your what do they say like make your bed or whatever. Now you lie in it. Yeah, my brother knows about the symbolism of the Mason tattoo. I don't know if it's like gaslighting, but it's one of the things. Like if you look at my brother's YouTube video, he has like tons of Masonic books and Masonic like ornaments and a tattoo on his hand of Masonic crop, and he has like the devil goat on his chest. Um, all that is like supposed like my brother just says he's just really into the occult. Like he's a conspiracy theorist. Um, yeah, thank you, D Wagner. I mean, it's just like I don't know. The best way I can think about it is like Greek stories, man. Like Greek stories. Everyone in the family was trying to like kill or rape each other. Is really that's Greek stories for you. And that's how I kind of like relate to my family as like a Greek. I relate to my family and my story as a Greek tragedy. Um, I don't know why this lady's going to feel bad later. She's just allowing me to speak. It's not going to make anyone feel bad to give someone the opportunity to speak about what they've experienced. What happened to you guys? Asked realtors. Me and my brother were trafficked. There was like various people that were sexually assaulted, various people that were framed, a couple people that were murdered or that were like set up in various ways to die. Like Crystal Rishinger was murdered. Mike Langhammer, I'm 99% sure was murdered. But my brother now says that he's talked to Mike Langhammer all the time. My brother also says that he speaks to Abraham and Joe Ali all the time, which are two other people that I mentioned are dead. Um, yeah. Yeah, I'm willing to go live, Chris. We have to schedule a time, and you have to keep your schedule. You can't just say stuff. Um, let's see. The part needing to fight, Kevin, you are both. Let's see. What's 100% my future? You didn't really say. See, the part needing to fight Kevin, you both endured abuse. How many times have I threatened people? It depends on who you're referring to. If you're referring to your children, I've never threatened them. Those are messages sent by you, which I can like, or like people attached to this, so I can prove, um, or I can extrapolate at least explain. And then um, I've threatened you and mom many times in self defense, of course. Yeah, thank you, protector system. You know what's up. You kind of see what's going. Yeah, they've done a lot of stuff to me to where like they say certain things to get me to like react a certain way. That's why when I first started making videos, I one of the things I mentioned is how my dog was murdered and my other dog was taken from me. And my brother said that I had my dog. He was like, "No, Kevin," and I have these posted and they're in my videos, and I can make comment videos about them, which I will now. But my brother literally posted saying you gave your dog away and you put down your other dog. And then when I had the video of my dog dying in my fucking backyard, and I had posted up pictures of my dog being taken to the pound, my brother was like, "Oh, well, that's what I thought." Like, it just fucking my brother's, his story changes with more information he gets out, and that's why Grandma Rags or whatever, she's if you looked at her profile, same exact as my brother's, Grandma Jonas 24, uh, she asked me to post up everything that I have right now, like all the pictures, all the recordings right now. And what they want is so they can edit their story and be like, no, no, this is what we really meant. This is what actually happened. Because now we have all the information and we can make up our story to tie around yours. But that's why we want it now because we don't want you, speaking for, to me, to catch us speaking for them in a lie again because that's all I've caught you in is constant fucking lies, you piece of shit. Not you guys, like my followers, but like, and not you, but my brother and these people. Like, yeah, there's actually tons of evidence. I literally posted recordings. Everyone go to the Linktree profile. In my profile, go to the Linktree, and you'll see like recordings. My brother's, if it's still up there, my brother's YouTube video, which not, I want to check if it is there. Um, there's just like, so much stupidity. Um, but you're kind of making this easy for me at this point, Chris. So I'm just going to block you when you say something that makes me feel bad. Um, let's see.
You want to talk? Go back to, I guess, when you first went to Washington because you said that you got sent up there
Yeah,
to live with a person you knew. That was Cody, right? And it says was to set up essentially to screw over Corey
Cody. Well,
or
I get Cody and Corey's name. I don't remember if it was. I'm pretty sure it was
okay,
Cody, but that's why I say Cody Corey. Like I can't remember his name exactly, but
okay.
he was heavy set. He was at CRF with me. He had dirty blonde hair that was like kind of long, looked like a heavy set surfer guy. But I went up there, showed up at his apartment door. He opened up the door and we hung out. Like he let me in. I had my all my stuff with me, and then he he's like, so like what brought you here or something? And we were talking, and he's just like, hey, like I showed him the messages, like we were talking about, like the messages that he sent me, and then like he asked to see them. I showed him the messages, and then he tells me that he never sent those, and that he had no idea that I was even coming, and that has happened so many times. They try to do this to so many people, have me just show up, and then like they've told people that like I'm a master computer hacker, that like finds out all this like where people are, and I erase all my crimes off of the internet, and like just bullshit, just straight bullshit. They ended up framing Cody or Corey, I can't remember his name, but easy enough to find out this stuff through CRF. They keep social services keeps records of of children. These people are now my age. Um, this stuff can be looked into pretty easy. Um,
Yeah. Then Austin.
yeah, I'm gonna make.
You got sent to Austin. Was that kind of the same like thing? Like someone messaged you to come
Okay,
and
so
didn't.
I was staying in Washington, right, at this guy's house, and then randomly, I don't know how this happened, and I remember Cody being like put off by it too. Like we didn't know how like we didn't know exactly know how this happened. At least I don't remember how it happened. But we knew this guy named Joe. His last name was Joe Name, which is like really odd name, but just to mention that. And then there's his girlfriend, and then this woman named Shelly, who was a prostitute who always had like people over, and then she would go to places and just leave her kid with me or Cody, and then she had a military boyfriend, and then we all lived at his house for like a week, and then after that, I remember I went to Austin and I got picked up. See, and this I don't remember how this happened. I was in I got picked up. I was in Lakewood. I flew. I don't know how. I didn't have a job, so I don't know how I got this plane ticket. I don't remember this part. But I flew all the way to Austin. And I don't know how I met this guy. Like or how like what I don't remember what messages or whatever brought me to Austin. But this guy I got like that. I just remember getting into Austin, and I just remember going into this guy's apartment, really nice apartment, younger guy who was in the military. He had an eagle tattooed on his chest, really skinny, really tan, but like he was Caucasian, and he got mad at me for like the second day I was there for like making pizza or something. And then his buddy, who was also in the military, was trying to talk with me to like stay with him because he's like, oh, like he just got in a bad relationship. And I was like, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be treating people like complete shit just because he was treated like shit. If anything, that would make you treat people better. And then I remember trying to get out and go back to Arizona where my dad lived at the like he lived there, my grandparents lived there. And then I ended up leaving. I can't remember if his friend got me a ticket or what happened, but I remember leaving, walking, finding his friend's house somehow, finding his friend's house apartment, and I hung out with him for like a day. And then I think he had to have gotten me the ticket or something to get to Prescott, Arizona, when my dad picked me up in Phoenix at the Greyhound, and then we drove to Prescott. And then there's a lot of Prescott story. But do you have any questions about Washington and Texas?
Um, I don't know. Is that like pretty much the extent of like the main weird like situations, or was there anything else that made you question, what was going on like when you were in either Washington?
When I was in either place, was there anything that was happening that was making me question stuff? Um,
Because it's like the first times you've been out of California as a
yeah.
like as an
Well,
emancipated. I mean,
yeah.
and
Well,
I mean the way that you got to each one is obviously weird. But
yeah.
was there anything else?
Well, nothing too odd. And I want to mention this. When I was running away from social services when I was 17 and a half, I was running away a lot with Cody. And then that's when we went to Emily's house and we were yelling, like, Malay, like, at her window because it was really late and we couldn't say Emily anymore because we were too tired. We were like, Emily turned into Malay. Um, but then yeah, so we went up there. There was nothing, I mean, besides all the weird stuff that was going on, I didn't really know like, what was going on in particular. Like, I wasn't, like, I was just like, thought I was just in a chaotic situation. I didn't think there was any like planner involved.
Right.
And then it got stranger when I went to Austin, and that was really weird. And then I went to Arizona, and I just thought, like, I just didn't know. Like, I just turned 18, everything was like still like settling down for me for like
Yeah.
in between 18 and 19. It was basically like everything was just still settling for me. And then
Yeah.
and then I lived
Plus,
with
like a
yeah.
little instability is going to make you just kind of focus on your survival and getting, stable. But yeah, I was just kind of wondering, yeah, if there was any like things that really stuck out.
Um,
But yeah, I get that. I've had a lot of like instability in my life. To really notice um, things around you, except for just trying to be stable and what's right in front of you.
yeah, no, I try
Yeah,
to do. Yeah, I've.
it's just weird.
Yeah, no, it is really weird. I'm gonna answer some of these questions real quick. Let's see. My brother says I'm schizophrenic and a pathological liar. No other explanation. 100% sure. My psychiatrist literally, all the medical professionals say otherwise. But my brother, the fucking professional, human trafficker, is the one saying that all this isn't true or that I'm schizophrenic. Like this
I
is a
mean,
cup. This is water. Like I don't think this is like magic fucking juice or something. I'm thirsty.
most people to your story still have an open mind.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they automatically think you're lying. It's just, I mean, it's a tall, it's a
Oh yeah.
huge
And that's
story,
yeah.
and with a lot of facets to it. And but I guess mainly how your family is treating you about it.
Yeah.
And
Is it?
I
I mean,
understand their big
yeah.
claims, but
No. I
I
mean,
don't know.
okay. From this is my perspective. Like, um, let's say theoretically speaking, if like I were schizophrenic or lying, would my mother and my brother's responses make sense at all? Like telling me I'm going to die by suicide next, and I posted a video about that. All these things that people are seeing on this
I
thread
mean,
about
they
my
could,
brother's
because
responses.
in
Um,
in one sense, it could make sense. A lot of people grow up with asshole families that don't understand mental illness, and they're still, even if you are
oh yeah, well I
schizophrenic,
think there's
even if you were
yeah,
schizophrenic.
I think there's aspects that make sense. Like if someone says that I sexually assaulted someone, I'm gonna say no, that didn't happen. But I'm not gonna go and
Yeah,
like go to that person's messages or whatever
troll them.
and make jokes like, ha
Yeah,
ha ha, you're schizophrenic. Like we still love you. Come live with us. No one wants to be around you because you're threatening everyone. No one does that. Like these people, like adults, are fully grown humans. We're not like
right.
Teletubbies that are just don't know what they're like. Like we're not acting like humans know more than what people give them credit for when stuff is serious. Like people do this a lot. Like at least in my perspective of just like giving people too much of the benefit of the doubt. And I think people should.
Yeah,
I think people
yeah.
should
And
get the
people,
benefit of the doubt to an extent, but like to an extent. Um,
yeah, definitely,
but
definitely. I mean, yeah, it started confirming your story a little bit more for me when they started posting um, things, and just it's it's just the way that it's treated and handled. And I mean, I would be upset too if somebody was accusing me. I can't say that I wouldn't. That's huge. But I don't know. Regardless, even if you are schizophrenic,
what
it's really a terrible way to treat people.
Yeah, no, I agree. One second here.
No, that's fine.
I think
Go
my
ahead.
brother's saying now that 10 people have come forward saying I sexually assaulted them. Is that what you're saying, Chris? So you just said 10 people have come forward? I'm curious what you mean by that. Because the list is getting really, really huge, apparently, like, I've been getting away with something my entire life from everyone. And I just must be, like, really, really fucking good at it, I guess. Or my brother's lying. One of the two. Um, Let's see. I'm just going to the back. Let's see. You realize you both were hurt, right? Hold on. La, da, da, da. Let's see. Hey, Kevin. Purple, what is your plan? See, I've been getting weird messages about you. Why'd they bother contacting me? Okay, this is what's happening to a lot of people. JJ Pants Pants is saying she's getting weird messages about me. My brother, if you go to my brother's profiles, they're strategically following people that are trying to help me, and then also people with big platforms that are following me or commenting or messaging. And they're targeting these people and then messaging me and stuff. I have multiple people on my accounts that they either disappeared, completely disappeared. Or one person said that she was getting threats of her now being a sexual assaulter, and that she was being told that, and that she had to leave social media. She didn't tell me it was because of these people, but she didn't like. I don't know. To me, it's like she told me everything that was happening with her, and it happened just after my brother. She sent me messages of my brother and her talking of how she was arguing with my brother. Um, Uh, we were have belts have been used on us, Chris. I don't know why you say we weren't used with a belt. I do have. Oh, I was gonna make um there. If that's okay, Protector Systems. I was gonna make you a moderator. I want to talk with you a little bit more, JJ Pants Pants. I'm just yeah, I'm really particular. Like it's nothing against you. I don't mind making you moderator in the future. I just since you mentioned what you just mentioned about you getting weird messages, I want us to have like a conversation first before I make you a moderator. Because just to not on you, I don't have a red flag from you, but I have a red flag because of the people that are talking to you, and I just get concerned. But I'm not worried about you. I just want us to have a conversation first. The truth will be told. I'm sure yeah, the truth is being told. You're not having any proof. You don't have any proof. Yeah, no, my like we had belts used on us. Not like obsessively, but I don't know why my brother says we've never had a belt used on us. There's no law enforcement in our entire family. Christian, you're so fucking dumb, dude. You realize I have conversations between me and Aunt Veronica, right? You realize I have conversations between me and mom, right? You realize I have conversations between like everyone that you've mentioned. Like, it's either going to come out that you've all been gaslighting me, or it's going to come out, which it's already clear in the recordings that I posted, or it's going to come out pretty obvious that uh, that the family is law enforcement, and then you're lying right now. Like, you guys can't keep your story straight at all. Let's go live tomorrow at 3 p.m. on Zoom. I've never put it off. You put it off. You refuse to get a hold of me. Um, I'm fine to go live tomorrow at 3. Want to see the true sickness? Go look at screenshots or listen to the recordings I have. But my brother has fabricated screenshots. So yeah, let's go look at the fabricated screenshots. I even saw a post of me. I think it's like a Twitter account that I supposedly had, and it doesn't even have my name spelled right because I think I already had that account name, and they tried to make it was me, and it had like a picture of me and like saying something about like suicide or something. I don't know if that. Yeah, I didn't. I just kind of peeked at them real quick. Someone says you remind me of my brother who abused me and is besties with my mom who beat him, and they hate me. And she's saying that to my brother. And but my brother's saying is we love him. Yeah, dude, the love is just boundless with you guys. And this is what they do. Like we're helping you. We love you. They probably tells that to his kids as he does stuff to his kids. Like I don't know for sure if he does, but I don't know why he wouldn't because of everything. This like manipulative, like fucking psychotic way of interacting with people. Like no one who cares interacts with people like this. But the story has been going on for 5 years. Chris, I thought you said I've been molesting people since I was 14. I'm 32, so it could have been going on for 5 years. Had to have been going on for a lot longer. And then you say that nothing's ever happened to her past, but then you say in a video that me and uh, you were abused by our mother, and that's who we got taken from. You know, how does my dad fit into all this? Where was he when all this was happening? It depends. Since it's a 32-year story, he was at different places in different times, but he is involved more hesitantly than my mother. I'll say that much. Let's see. Someone says after everything that your mom did, and you say love, really? Question mark. He says, I have actual truth. Kevin only has his claims. Curious of what those truths are. Like, yeah, when you say truth, that tells me that you don't have any evidence. All you have is your words. Like, they also have transcripts. They have supposedly transcripts, like written transcripts, since from me since 2010. It's fucking amazing. I've never heard anyone to keep transcripts on someone uh, for no reason. So I mean, I've read through the transcripts. They're fake. I haven't read through all of them, but a lot of the ones I've read through are fake, especially the early ones. And then your reasoning there, why would you keep transcripts from someone that's only been a problem for the last 3 or 4 years, which would have been 2017 as opposed to 2010? Edit that first and then come back with this bullshit. Am I schizophrenic or a pathological liar, Chris? Yeah, it could only. I mean, I guess technically it could be both, but you're making these claims that I am both. But I don't see how you could know that, or anyone could know that, except for like a lot of doctors have been posting comments saying that like I've been a nurse for so many years, I've seen psychotic people my whole life, I'm a doctor, blah blah blah. And they're saying everyone's saying they don't see psychopathy for me or psychosis for me. Also, the recording with my fucking therapist says that. Also, my recording with Nathan Peliquin's mother, the person, Crystal Rissinger, her boyfriend, the woman who's died and sexually assaulted, her boyfriend, Teresa Peliquin, Nathan's mother, I've had 3 conversations with on the phone. She also was a therapist in this town of Preston, Colorado, and talks through all this stuff. You're fucking just consistency. I can't handle inconsistency. If you're going to fucking lie, be consistent about your lie. Like it makes it I don't know. You're just making this like too dumb, and it's concerning for some reason because I'm like, no one is this dumb. A lot of what's happened to you happened to me. I know you're telling the truth. No, I mean, it's this fucking. I don't mean to curse at you. Sorry, MK Ultra. But the crazy thing is like I'm getting messages not only for many people about my own situation. Some like a lot of people are like, oh, I saw that happen. I'm like, oh, I've known Kevin for many years, and what he's saying is the truth. I've had people post that. But besides those things, I've had so many people tell me they were trafficked by law enforcement, and they have like a little like a story, a synopsis of what they've experienced. And it's like that for dozens, if not hundreds, of messages of people telling me of like this and comments too. When you go to comments, I have like 15,000 comments on one video, and most of them aren't of this nature, but there's hundreds and hundreds that go on about their own stories of this stuff. I'm fucking blown away that there's literally hundreds of thousands of people being like, no, this happened to me, this happened to someone I know, this is going on, and like nothing's happened about it. That's the most like jarring thing to me. Um, let's see. When this is all over, you're going to be like, Kevin's brother was right. Yeah, right. Um, yeah, thank you, D. Wagner. I thought I understood that. Yeah, don't let them work me up. I'm going to start in the next part of my story. I'm just trying to get through some of these messages. Definitely what an abuser would say. Yeah, it's textbook abuse. It's very obvious from the outside. Um, yeah, no, it is. Like, I mean, they're getting everyone that I've claimed has done something to me or is involved in some way has now said that they're like, that I sexually assaulted them, or has said that, like, oh, I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, I don't even remember him. Like, the stupidest stuff. And it's like, these people, like, I hope my brother's telling all these people that everyone's not going to be able to keep their story straight, and everyone's gonna get themselves like thrown in prison because of it, essentially. Yeah, that's how my brother's like, yeah, all these people are in some grand conspiracy. Ha ha. Okay. Uh, that's literally how organized crime works. It's a group of people, so it's like more than one, and there's usually like coercion involved and money, which is also a form of coercion, I guess, like blackmailing people, offering people goods to do certain things. I'm not explaining this to you. I'm explaining this for the people that are watching. Um, I will expose the truth, and I cannot wait. I thought you were already gonna post this stuff. I thought people were literally posting this stuff on YouTube about me, and that you were posting a like a 4 hour video of when I my face was tattooed black against my will, which I already explained in detail of how it happened, how I went there 4 times, how it was the third time that my face got that I went for the 2 consultations. I got my face tattooed. I went back a few days or a week later out of my mind, begging, shaking, trying to get him to fix it. And he was just laughing and took a picture of me. And there's more to that story too. So I've explained this. You're trying to get me on these like, oh, like, isn't it weird how you like said hi to someone or something? And it's just fucking like, it's so, how you say, like, base level. Ugh. Thank you, C Dizzle. Well, here's Acrobatic Lemon. My Acrobatic Lemon says it's probably your mom posing as him. Um, and my mom and my brother and like if you'll notice through these conversations and other like on my lives that I'm going to be posting, you'll see more than 3 people, 3 or more people constantly do this, commenting and commenting and commenting. That means it has that like my mom, my brother, and Garrett Cormier would be the next logical conclusion. But there's more than just like it's not just my family. It's not just a few people. Like it's as we're gonna get into now, my 18 and above stories, it's going to come out that like it's a lot bigger than how I've explained so far. How many brothers are there? I have a older brother that's 19 months older than me, give or take, or 18 months, something like that. I think I said 16 months before too. His birthday's in August, and my birthday's in December, and he's like a year plus older than me. And I have a half sister that I've met once. And you okay? Now he has 7 people. My brother says, and yet I only have 7 people telling me that you touched them. Amazing. 7 people. I'm fucking talented, apparently. Like, I can get away with these crimes. 7 people all say that I touched them and but didn't report it to anyone, which is weird. Like, you'd think 7 people would get a police officer to arrest me. Or at least charge me, which is something that you could see on someone's record if someone was charged with a crime. Never been charged. Odd.
Right. I mean, victims don't always come forward,
Yeah,
but especially if you're making accusations out in the world now,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, only after this is the point and on Andrea was making is only after I made comments about these people sexually assaulting me or being involved. Now they're saying now some of these people are the ones that came up or that I've now sexually assaulted. And my mentioning with like again, some people it was also mentioned that some people don't come forward. That's understandable. But in my as I'm was what I'm reading at the 7 people is that statistically 7 people at least Christos P. Mitchell and Caitlin Gillette know each other. So some of these people know each other, and then all 7 people kept quiet. I find that that's just statistically unlikely.
and
From an outside perspective, from my I didn't do that. I know it from my perspective, but from an
how
outside,
many of the 7, oh, I'm sorry,
no, go for it, go for it.
how
How
many
many?
of the 7 are people that you accused before
I don't know. I
they
know,
accused?
yeah, I know 3 of the people, Corey Grant, Caitlin Gillette, and Christos Mitchell are the 3 people, or 3 of the people that my brother says I now sexually assaulted when I was 14, I think, or something, 15. Maybe I was in group homes. Maybe I was living with my dad. We'll see what my brother says next. Like, but yeah, so I just know 3 of these people. Um, Ask about the way I was drugged. I've not skipped that question. Answer my question, acrobatic lemon. Am I not answering your question, acrobatic lemon? Um, yeah, I agree, D. Wagner. Keep these claims up. I have, what the fuck are you talking about? I have a fucking TikTok with 84,000 followers. These claims are literally up. This is why we're having this conversation. Like, can you not remember the series of events that led up to this? First of all, Chris, if you're saying I'm schizophrenic, then I'm legally, I can't be charged with a crime legally, or I can be charged, but I can't be convicted of a crime. If you're saying I'm schizophrenic, mentally ill people are like not responsible for themselves. I'm sure there's like criminal, like there's institutions for the criminally insane, but like, gosh, you're just fucking all over the place, and it's weird.
What county was the cease and desist order in? I mean, that's something I
I don't
can
know. My brother says that there's a cease
look up.
and my brother says there's a cease and
I mean,
desist order.
ask him. Yeah. Right.
Well, that's the thing is all the questions that I ask my brother, all the questions that everyone asks my brother just says no, oh, I'm schizophrenic, or like he just avoids. He's
Right.
really
Exactly.
apt at avoiding
Exactly.
any questions. Um,
Right. My question was really just to kind of emphasize that, that he says there's this cease and desist order, and you're schizophrenic, and I guess it's difficult to release medical records without being power of attorney or somebody's guardian, but um, the cease and desist order, that's very easily searchable in legal records. So those things are usually free in public record.
yeah, no, it's I
And
mean,
that would at least be something that would corroborate anything on their side.
well, I mean that's the whole thing too is that like it's not like people have to take my brother's word or they have to take my word for any of this. Like
No, I'm
Harry,
I'm just saying like
yeah,
any
yeah,
of
oh yeah,
as much
yeah,
information
yeah, exactly. And that,
would.
yeah, yeah. I'm just reiterating what you're saying. I'm not saying that you said that, but like, and this is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
get.
no.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to get through to people is like, is there like, does California, the state, exist? Yes, I live there. Does Huntington Beach, the city exist? Yes, I live there. Does Perry Elementary, the school, exist? Yes, I went to school there. You can look that Google exists. Um, and then this is the part where it gets difficult. When I was in second grade, was there a principal, Mr. Glasser, when I would have been about second or third grade? If there was a principal, Mr. Glasser, when did he leave? Why did he leave? What was his name? Those are important questions. Everything that I mentioned about what happened in fifth grade later is important. The Social Services Group Home (CRF). It will be it will be recorded in some length, let alone all these staff members that were aware of what was happening or that have levels of information to express of like, well, this is like, they don't have details to share. That could be looked into really easily, also with my foster family. And that would also show how I went to Kearney, Nebraska, and Denver and back. Like, no one has to take my word for it. If the police are looking into this, they've not contacted me, which makes sense because everyone that I've tried to deal with in law enforcement that has tried to help me has supposedly, this is what I was told, has committed suicide. Um, and yeah, so I mean, like, it's just so fucking ridiculous. Like, then this is why I'm leaving the country. It's because like I'm not gonna get an opportunity for justice here. Um, yeah, it's ridiculous. Mr. Glasser was never arrested. How do you know of Mr. Glasser, Chris? Like, how do you even know of Mr. Glasser? Have you spoken to Mr. Glasser? Have you spoken to Michael? What about Michael? Who's they? Who are you referring to when you say who are they, Kevin? What are their names? Who is they? Yeah, I didn't say you didn't go to Paris. I said, how do you know Mr. Glasser? Like, you went to the same school as me doesn't mean you interacted with Mr. Glasser. Let's say you're 2 years older than me. We got into school in second grade. By third grade is when he left. You were, I think when I was in sixth grade, you were in eighth grade or ninth grade. I can't remember. You were at least in eighth grade. You were in eighth grade. We were at Dwyer together. So if I was in third grade, that's when Mr. Glasser would have gotten arrested. You would have been in Dwyer, so you wouldn't have known. The people who killed themselves, uh, I've never said that they killed themselves. I said I was told that they killed themselves or that the people had them killed themselves. But you already know this since you were involved. Let's see. Um, yeah, my brother's only 16 months older than me. Thank you, Zoo. Yeah, no, exactly. Acrobatic lemon. Like my brother. Like I mean, that's what they do. That's really what they do. She made a claim about my brother. Not a claim, but she's like a curiosity. Like, how's touching your children going? Question mark. And that's I wouldn't be surprised if my brother did because my mom did the same thing to me and my brother. Like they don't obviously the people doing this stuff aren't going to walk around with like fucking flags like yeah like like beating his kid on the ground like this is what we're doing like obviously they're going to lie about it. Um, so I'm like a dramatic sometimes. Sorry. Yeah, he has no videos. My brother says half of them don't believe me. I don't know who that who. Yeah. My brother's just trying to say that everyone on the live doesn't believe me, and they're all like, I don't know. He's just so fucking crazy. Yes, my brother is in between 16 and 18 months older than me. Um, thank you always. Thank you, D. Wagner. I guess Wayne County is where a cease and desist order is. Would I have been given this cease and desist order? If you guys have recordings of everything, then you guys would have a police body cam of me getting this order. Yeah, 60. We're about 16 months age difference. No problem, D. Wagner. How do you know how far apart in age you are? I have six siblings. I know their ages. I know their ages. How far apart? Are you asking me? Because I already mentioned like a few times. Um, Thank you, Christine Glues. Uh, she says, okay, my conclusion is his brother here is a victim also, or two, and you're also telling his story. That's no, 100%. My brother is, I mean, my brother's a victim turned uh, assaulter, like criminal now. Same thing with like with how my mom was. But not like our brother's a victim, not to give not to like lighten the load of his like his criminal actions. Uh, but also like I mentioned both just so I just so people have like perspective. That's why I mentioned the good things that my brother has done for me too. It's so people have perspective. Like it wasn't just like my brother was mean and bad and like it's just the universe. Like it wasn't something stupid like that. Like my brother, like just so much stuff. Um, see, you were in gate classes. I don't know what if that's like. Gosh, this is so retarded. I don't think you were ever in any. I think gate's like a class to get you like ahead in something. Uh, I'm talking to your girlfriend in fucking sixth grade, Christian. Just so you know, just so you know, I have conversations with someone that says they dated you and they know me. Um, so keep it coming, fucking keep it coming. You said she never touched us. I thought she was an alcoholic. I thought our mom was an alcoholic. Snow White asks what's going on. We're talking about my trafficking experience. My brother is was also a victim, but he's also now a part of like this like we say like or like I want to paraphrase it really poorly, but my brother is part of my family is part of like a sex trafficking ring is the easiest way to say it. I just say organized crime. I don't like the term ring. It gives like a weird. It just gives me weird vibes. Um, but my brother is involved, and now he's doing the same thing, which my mom did um, to other people, me and my brother, and he's doing this similar things, and he's just trying to protect himself.
I joined the chat right now.
Oh, you're in the chat. Cool. Ugh, I want to use the restroom so bad, but I can't. I don't want to walk away. Yeah, I was the mama's boy. And my brother's like Kevin was the mama's boy. Actually, I was. I've loved my mom like a lot. Odd how that switched. Like, why would I go from a mom's boy to a not mom's boy? Thank you for mentioning that. I want to screenshot that. There you go. Screenshot done. So now we have to explain how I went from a mama's boy to a not mama's boy. I guess I just got mad one day and everything was just confusing. And I thought, it was my psychopathy, right? I thought mom was like a fucking like Snorlax or something. If you're concerned, why are you taking like you're just fucking crazy, dude. All these messages and everything proves far more on your side than it does on my side, Christian. Hi, cowgirl. Do you have proof your brother has done stuff to you, or do you just assume because he's not taking your side? No, I have like personal, like hundreds of personal experiences. Him laughing at me when my mom fed me a human. They're explaining. We were talking about the story later, and my brother thought that was like really hilarious. My brother would set up, gosh, like just trying to run through everything in my head. My brother set up with this one kid that he gave this other kid an eighth of weed to sock this other kid in the face, just to like see if my brother would like do stuff like that. My brother one time in Schaefer Circle, my mom had me lay down in the on the floor in the living room, and my mom said she wanted to rub my back. My mom put it something kind of next to her behind her, and then as my mom was rubbing my back, she inserted something into my butt. My brother came from outside with someone, and the kid was like, "What's going on? What's that?" or something. And I don't know what happened to the kid or anything after that, but that was an event. My brother's now saying like stuff like that's never happened. My brother's saying stuff like Mr. Glasser never happened. I've had messages and calls from my brother telling me to run. He's like, "Run! Like, get out of here quick! We're going to get you!" Ah! Like yelling on the phone, like just trying to make me panic, which is what like these messages are for. Is just to make me like, "Oh shit!" Like, when you beat the shit out of someone enough times, you're gonna have PTSD. Um, yeah. Um, let's see. There's multiple people that remember my brother and how he treated me and the stuff that he was involved with. Um, let's see. Um, there's multiple people my brother knows which can prove certain things that I've mentioned. People that like, yeah, there's a lot to say there. I have corroborating evidence, if that's what you're asking. I have zero proof except for literally all the recordings I have. I'm not a fucking vocalist or like a what do you call it, like a puppeteer. Yeah, yeah. Someone says go to the bathroom. I'm gonna take that advice. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm gonna block my brother's messages because his shit's very annoying. Um, and I want to make sure I want to stay on a little bit more on track. Um, and I'm just gonna go through a couple more comments, and then I'm gonna continue with my story. Yeah, thank you, Snow White. I will tell my side of the story, and we will see who's fibbing. I don't realize my brother was no. I realized my brother was a child, but he's like 34 now. Like he's a full grown adult doing this stuff. I mean, my mom was just a child when she got her photo taken with her adoptive father on his lap. That doesn't mean that my mom framing people, having people murdered, uh, feeding me a human, inserting objects in my butt. That doesn't mean just because my mom's a victim, just because someone's a victim doesn't make it that their crimes are okay. um, I did. Someone just says he would block his brother at this point, but he hasn't. I did just block my brother. It's because I want to stay on. I'm just getting to the point of my story where I'm 18 and older, and I want to get through this. It's really big. Sleepy Rachel, what recording are you referring to? Are you referring to my brother's recording or one of mine? Like I have many. And depending on which one you're going through, they explain different things. You have 20 people willing to come forward and speak on this. I'm love to hear all these accusations. Like, oh, like, Kevin came in and he molested 20 people. Is it 20 people? Is it 7 people? Is it 10 people? Your fucking number changes every moment, dude. Let's see, I'm about to start on the story, just reading a few more messages. How old was I? When it started, I was like 2, and this has gone on my entire life, like the entirety of my life. Dan Board. Yeah, see, everything like someone please save these messages too. Like I have this stuff recorded, but save these messages too, like on y'all's end, like take photoshots of this stuff. Because someone's like, um, what you're saying just says he's a victim as well. Um, I think that was in reference to what I was saying, what my brother did, and that's my brother was a victim, but it also, yeah. Just go through my brother's messages and just like I don't know his explanations explain a lot more. It explains a lot of stuff and nothing that what my brother thinks it explains. No, I agree. A joiner. People would be mad if they were being falsely accused, but like it just seems really odd that like now that I've accused people, now I'm 32. Now there's a bunch of people like clawing at the woodworks because now they're all accusing me that I've been molesting people. Um, and gosh, yeah. And then my brother has messages or transcripts since 2010, but then they say this all started in 2017, and then my brother has a YouTube video which explains how we didn't get taken from our dad, and then I have a recording of my mom saying that we did get taken from our dad, and now my brother says that he misspoke an entire story, like an entire story, not part of a story, an entire. It's not like he was explaining stuff and it was like, this one thing actually happened over here. I mess up. It was like, no, we never got taken from our dad. I don't know where he got that from. Like crazy. Yeah, if you have proof, just post proof. Like, if you have evidence. So far, the three of the crystal ones, they're just you speaking. That's not proof. The three crystal ones also have Teresa Peliquin. She's also speaking to me, and what she says is like corroborates what was going on with Crystal Rishinger, and that this like Teresa Peliquin specifically mentions that the sheriffs have had something to do. That she's 100%. She says this verbatim. I'm 100% positive that the sheriffs had something to do with Crystal Rishinger's death. And I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but then she goes on to say that when Crystal Rishinger was sexually assaulted, my son Nathan was dating her. She was over at our house talking about all this and going through the like she was saying like she knew everything that was happening as it was happening, and then through talking to people as the therapist in this town of 150 people and as a member of this town of 150 people, that you heard from multiple people saying that the sheriffs were like hiding evidence, etc. One of these sheriffs um, starts with a W. War is it Warwick? I think it's Warwick. I can't remember. I want to say like Wilson or something. But there's only two sheriffs there. But one of these sheriffs is, and I have recordings that I'm going to post up on this, is supposedly on the run now in Tennessee for sexually assaulting a minor. Like, you can't make this shit up. Let's see. He never wants to share. Can you please finish the thought you started when you said it's not about what I said to believe, but what? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what you mean, Sid Dizzle. Can you re ask that question? Stay strong, Kevin. I will. People make stuff up from their childhood to their grave. Wait, some people will take stuff from their some people will take stuff from their childhood to their graves. Um, thank you, Acrobatic Lemon. Acrobatic Lemon says it's basically a cult and they hold each other against each other even though they were abused. No, that is it. That really is it. And it's not just me or my brother. It's all of them. All the people that are part of this system. Like they tried to frame Rob Campbell because things were getting hot and they tried to send him into the group home and like set this thing up. I kind of explained it a little bit. I can explain that more if I need to. But everyone involved is part of it, and no one that I know of is like this. Like you're safe. Like this is like, these are the rules, and you're safe. It's 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 everyone's against everyone, and they're all part of this thing that they're all bound to through like blackmailing or various things. I don't like using terms like cult personally, but it does describe like the mentality. Uh, and that's I just say organized crime personally. Yeah, I try to admit as much as possible, like when things don't make sense, or if I feel like I could, like if I don't remember something perfectly, or if I don't think like if I'm like I've never had a clear thought on this thing I'm remembering, kinda, I'll like explain that. But then there's things that I'm like I just mentioned, like I can explain this thing more if I need to, and that's for like certain things. I just some things takes a moment to think about since I have like 30 years of bad stuff in my head. And then some things it's just not very easy to explain without other questions because like an overly open-ended question creates like a big answer and like it's really hard to summarize a giant answer in a cohesive way that everyone could understand as well as a way which I'm able to explain myself. Um, would you ever go live with my brother? I would go live with him. I've asked to go live with him many times, and he's not been willing to set. He just posts. He just posts saying like it's a way to make it look like I'm not being in agreement, but he just posts this stuff acting like I'm the one not willing to go live. Um,
You guys just scheduled to go live
yeah,
like
no,
a little while ago, and then in the chat he brought up that you always deny it and won't do that, and I said it just happened, and he said no, it didn't,
yeah, okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
I,
Now, I'm
I
gonna
wish you
reiterate.
could have joined that chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna reiterate what you just said. Uh, Andrea said that, and this is what I said. I mentioned to my brother, and this is just more evidence or just corroboration. I asked my brother to let's do a live, or he asked me let's do a live tomorrow at 3, and I was like sure. And then he was saying that I'm not willing to set a time up. And then the person I'm doing the interview with was also commenting and asked him. She said that it already happened, like I set up the time, and my brother commented below that that never happened. And that's just to add to the like perception that people when they're joining are only hearing a little bit. They're like it gives people like, oh, like maybe I am like being unreliable or something. Um, and it's just this. It's just to give people a perspective, like a type of mind frame. Um, oh gosh, someone says my memory's really sharp. My memory used to be so much better. Like I'm saying like my memory per se, but like my ability to like articulate myself and be like sharp minded, like on point every day. Theresa, do you think I'm lying or do you think my brother's lying? And if you think I'm lying, do you mind explaining the things in my story that don't make sense to you? And if you're going to respond with all of it, like what's one or two things that specifically comes to mind? Like I don't understand how this could happen or something. Someone says, however, it seems like they were both kids, and my brother just and his brother wants to put it in the past. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened to when we were just kids, but there's a lot of stuff that happened when we were adults. Um, yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Okay, someone says I keep losing the chat. I'm sorry that's happening. I'm gonna start continuing with my story. Um, let's see, him getting a rise out of you, yada yada.
That happens with the chat. Sometimes you have to go out and back in.
Yeah, someone says with the chat sometimes you have to go out and come. Andrea says you have to go out and come back in. Someone says, guess what I just found out? What did you just find out? Like, why would you post something like that and just not explain? But I'm curious. Juan Squish Barth Muth the third says that he found something out.
Hey, did that other guy that last night ever send you information he said he had for you?
Yeah, no,
I don't remember his name. He was from Huntington Beach.
yeah, his name was something David or something, and we ended up
Yeah,
talking. We ended up talking. It was really short. Um, it wasn't anything like inside. He was just from Huntington Beach, and he had his own experiences in Huntington Beach with people that ran. Oh shit! I think I just made a connection. Not to me, but to someone else's story. Where'd this message go? Because he told me that. Let's see. He said, I don't know if any of my info will be helpful, but when I heard what you said, I heard similarities. I had to tell you. Um, my ex-husband's uncle, yes, my husband's uncle did this. He lived off California Street, and his name was Gilbert. I didn't know for a long time, but he did this to my ex-husband as well. Um, he lived on the back of a main house in a trailer. He had boys there a lot. I don't know a lot. I just know he probably was involved. My ex's house, the family house, not his, was like a hub of drug users and homeless people in Huntington Beach. So it's very possible. Um, I thought he mentioned the building that it was at. Okay, I think I was remembering something wrong. Um, I should say I thought he mentioned something that he didn't. So let's go with the let's say so uh we're at in Arizona. I just got to Arizona. My dad picked me up at the Greyhound station from leaving Austin, Texas. And I left from I left from Washington to Austin, and then Austin to Prescott, Arizona. Was sitting outside the Greyhound station with my backpack, and my dad picked me up. We went up to Prescott. My brother, I think, was in jail or prison at the time, because he had drugs on him. Um, and my brother got out right about that time, and I remember he had Matt Gillis as a friend, this guy named George that I think they framed because now he has like indecent exposure or sexual assault charge or something, and his life got fucking screwed over. And George is one of the nicest people I've met. And like George came up to me and he told my brother in front of everyone, he was like, "Tell him what you're telling everyone." And my brother said, like, "I'm not telling anyone anything." And he's like, "No, tell him this is fucking weird. Tell him what you're telling everyone." This happened on the property that Melissa was living at, my brother's baby's mama. And then George told me that my brother's been telling everyone that I'm like a pedophile or something, and then my brother told him that he's going to regret that. And then like less than a year later, I can't say for sure if it's connected, but there's a lot of these things that are just very odd. And about a year later, he got in trouble for supposedly indecent exposure, and he's like lives in a predator's house now, and he's like one of the fucking nicest, not aggressive people I've ever met. Um, and then I dated. Let's see. I got a job at Subway. I had a boss named Samantha. I worked with a guy named Avo. It was his Greek name. It wasn't for avocado. I made that joke. He didn't like it. Um, let's see. Avo. This guy named Steven, who there's a whole big story with Steven and his wife and how his wife was trying to get Steven to frame me, but Steven really liked me, and then they made Steven like into this massive meth head. Um, and I can like all this I can explain to you. Ask questions about for the person I'm doing the interview with, and then everyone on the TikTok. All the stuff I mentioned, like you didn't explain this well enough. Like what comes to mind here or whatever. Like explain this. Um, but yeah. So Steven, Subway. My dad tried to get me fired from Subway because my dad was told by law enforcement by a police officer that came over, and then my dad was saying that he didn't want this to happen to me, that I'm actually a good person, that I'm not what my mother said, and then the police officer was like, "Told my dad we got to get find a way to get rid of me." Um, my dad tried to get me fired from my job. My boss came up to me telling me that my dad called him and said that I smoked marijuana and that I should be fired because of it. I had a boyfriend at the time that lived in Prescott Valley. We were in a car accident together when we left his house. And I'm just mentioning details. I don't know for sure if all this is connected. When we left his house, he told me to not wear a seatbelt. I decided to wear my seatbelt. We were in a car accident right in front of my job. His car pulled out in front of us. The two people that supposedly worked with this guy came to my work and said that the guy tried to commit suicide because he just got fired. All that seems suspicious. My boyfriend at the time that I got into a car accident with, our lawyer that was handling the case, the lawyer came up to me and gave me a piece of paper saying it was my boyfriend's suicide note, and I supposedly that never actually happened. I was told that never actually happened, and then my lawyer also told me over the phone that I'm a piece of shit about what I did, and no one would ever tell me about what I did except for hearing from like random people these like little things. Um, the money that I got, my mom took like pretty much all of it. I had enough money to spend on like a vehicle, like a $200 vehicle, not like a vehicle, like literally $200 vehicle. It was either a Chevy Celebrity or a Ford Tempo. Those are the two cars that I got in Chino that were each under like $200. Um, and so Prescott, Arizona, Chino, my mother, let's see, the guy that got into a car accident, my partner, car accident, fake suicide, uh, but jeez, there's so many things.
Um,
I guess
I'll
yeah, like
cut you off then.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's
Um,
start there.
did, I don't remember on a previous live, did you say that you saw that guy again, your ex-boyfriend that you were in the accident with, and uh, then what the lawyer gave you a suicide note for
Yeah,
him?
the lawyer
You
gave me
said, and then
yeah.
how'd you find out that that was fake? You said you saw him again, or I'm sorry, I mixed that part up. But I
Um,
remember you speaking about it for a second, like a few days ago.
yeah, I can't remember exactly what I said. I'm concerned that maybe I did say I saw him, but I didn't see him again. I heard from I don't want to say I don't want to paraphrase this because I don't know because this is an important detail. I don't want to like fudge it up. I want to remember the specific events.
Well,
Um,
I might not have.
no, you're fine. You're fine.
If you,
Uh, I'm trying to figure out because like I'm trying to figure out how specifically I remembered how this happened. I remember right around this time I went to my grandparents' house for Thanksgiving, and my cousin Johnny, my brother, was telling everyone that I had hickeys on my neck, and they were telling everyone that I was having kids like suck hickeys off on my neck. And so my grandma was like, at least that's what like my grandma said, my nanny. Um, and Oh, and when I went to this Thanksgiving, I mentioned how my partner died, and then they were kind of making fun of him for committing suicide, which I don't really know if he did commit suicide now, or like I was told. I'm trying to remember exactly what gave me the impression. I think it was. I want to say, without remembering the specific events, I want to say it was like in my 20s when my mom and these people were pretty much telling me that they fed me human and all this stuff. I want to say that's where it came out, but I'm not positive, so I want to take some time to I want to I guess put that in the back burner and then take some more time to think about
okay,
other
that's fine.
questions that you have. Let me go through a couple. Do you have another question off the bat that you have, or
No, no, go ahead for the chat. I'm sure there's a lot.
okay? Let's see. We have only two people commenting a lot. Let's see. I hope he reads the bottom comments soon. Guess what I just found out? Did I already read that twice? Can someone ask the wanker WANQUESHBARTHOMSTHE3RD? Can someone ask that person what they found out? What did my brother do as an adult? I mean, I'm going to explain that as I'm telling this. I'm trying to tell the story in chronological order, and all that's going to be like it's going to make sense as I'm telling the story. It's like, oh, well, he was involved in this, and then he was involved in this, and yada yada. Yeah, I am triggered for my brother coming at me like that. Um, yeah, I got that, Theresa. Yeah, thank you. Here we were. Yeah, yeah. My brother's like, we love him. They've never fucking like that's just the most psychotic manipulation, the level of manipulation that they've always done. Like, we love you. Like, come live with us. Everything will be good. You'll have a relationship with your brother that you've never had, with your dad that you've never had, with your aunts and uncles that you never had. It's gonna be so great. Everything's gonna be amazing. And then I get there and it's like, we didn't want you to come. Why'd you just show up? Why are you here? Whoa, whoa. Like, we never sent you these messages. You made up these messages. You sent these to yourself so you could like come and harass us again. Fucking happens all the time. All the fucking time. Like throughout my life. Like crying like fucking crying so many times, wondering why I fucking have the family that I have. Like wondering why I constantly get treated like straight garbage. um someone says of course you smoke that if you work at Subway. Steven didn't do speed or meth or whatever. He got methed out, I'm 99% sure because he was being drugged. Because there's a story with all that and his wife and his daughter, and there's a story with that I'll get to it and I can get to in a little bit here. I'm at the air. I'm near this story in the chronological telling of my life events. I'm very close to this story. So many bad things have happened in this world. People don't know the half of it. See kids, even though doing maybe a reporter, or is he on someone else's live? I'm on my own live. Um, Something about my sister. At 50 years old, she was having an affair with a 21-year-old son-in-law. One thing is interesting to know is my baby sister, now she's like 10 or something, but her mother is like months older than my brother. Just a thing to mention. Agreed. Protect your children and never accept help from CPS. I just agree with that. I know there's a few people involved in social services that follow me that are like, oh, like as a caseworker, this is all horrible, and I believe that a lot of people do think this is horrible. But the institution, and this is what people don't I don't think realize when people are talking about or at least me, when I'm talking about law enforcement, healthcare, politicians, um, DHS, social services, and when I say that I have like there's problems with them, I'm not referring to like these. I'm not referring to everyone in these institutions are all bad people. I'm saying that like the laws that govern are skewed. A lot of them are intentionally bad, I believe, but that could be up for debate. The intention of it, but the nature of them is they are bad, and a lot of people who work for social services and law enforcement, etc. There are a mass number of people that are ambivalent towards um, towards towards what's going on around them. Let's see. Hey, Maroon, Liz. Okay, now let's see. I'm at my story with um. We're at. Do you
Scott,
Yeah? Do you have any questions about everything that I just mentioned before I continue to the next part?
uh, yeah, I can get to unmute it quick enough. But you just said that your sister's mom is a few months older than your brother.
Yeah, I don't
That was
remember.
like, say that.
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but the first time I met her, I got into Arizona, and my brother we went to a barbecue place, and we're sitting there, and then somehow it gets mentioned her age in relation to my brother, and it was the most awkward thing for me at least. Like she was less than a year older than my brother, and I just kind of remember just like at least she's an adult, like because my brother was like 19 at the time or something. Like,
Yeah.
well, he would have been about 20 since I would have been about 18, 19, so he would have been about 2021, give or take, a year. Um, and so, yeah, she was like 21, 22.
Okay.
And yeah, that's just a yeah, thing to mention. Anything else about, yeah, anything else?
Um, where were we? We're talking. Uh, so George was framed because he pretty much was hearing your brother talking about you and tried to confront you with him, confront him with you together, get out there. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, I'm trying to read at the same time and pick up my spot because I kind of didn't scroll at the same time. Mm-mm. Okay. Yeah. I can't really think of any other questions.
Okay. Is did anyone on my before I'm going to use the restroom really quick. Does anyone on my live have any questions about my story with I mean anything 18 and above really since we're kind of in this period of going to Washington, Austin, Texas, or what is going on that I mentioned in Arizona so far. And I'm about to explain the Stephen part next. I'm going to use the restroom real quick. Think of your questions that y'all might have and then post them up. We have a very pink sky. Like it's just about dusk, and it is dusk, and it's right at that time where it creates like a pink sky or whatever, like a pinkish orange. It's really pretty. It just looked red outside, and I was like, oh, is it the fire? Because I guess we have fires nearish by. But let's see. His family hates how strong he is after all of this. Okay, so no questions. Oh, we have someone here that shouldn't be here.
Hi,
Hello.
kitty. Go. Sorry, just
Um, let's see. Yeah, Blueberry Rama is another one of my family's many fake accounts. But let's see. We have. Okay, so I'm gonna try and tell a story. Steven thing. I would go over me, Avo, and his girlfriend. I can't remember her name. We went over to Steven's house, who also worked at Subway. And I've maybe been over there like once or twice before, and we're like meeting his. I'm gonna paraphrase all of my experiences over there since they're kind of like overlapping. And so like in Prescott Valley, we would go over to Steven's house. That's where Steven lived with his wife in this apartment building. When we went over there, his wife a few times got mad at Steven for hanging out with me for some things, and it was really odd. One day, Steven and his wife had two friends over, and the one of the friends who I didn't know wanted to go look at a vehicle to find something in it, and they're like, "Hey, come out with me and look at this vehicle." And we went out to the car, and he opened up the doors and was like, to start digging around. I can't remember. I think we were looking for receipts or something. I don't remember. And I was like, "Yeah, like more than happy to help," kind of person. I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And we're doing it, and as soon as we get out there, like we're out there for like 2 minutes, and then a cop shows up and was, "What are you guys doing?" And right before the cop showed up, the guy yelled, was like, "We're not finding it" or something. And this could be nothing. This is just what comes to mind. Um, but he mentions as soon as he yells that, like, as soon as he mentions that, the cop's standing like right behind him, and I was like, "What the fuck?" or something, or "What the hell?" Um, he talks to him alone for a minute, and then he talks to me, and then I can't remember what happened. It was like tense at first, but then nothing happened, and then we went back to the house, and then they told me that I had to leave. Steven's wife, and then like a week later or so, sometime after, I went back over there, and Steven and that guy were walking. Like I went to Steven's house, and then the guy and Steven came out, and then Steven said that his wife wanted Steven and him to jump me to beat me up, and I was like, you don't have to actually beat me up. Like, I can see your wife doesn't like me for some reason. You can, I'm paraphrasing, you can just say that you beat me up and not actually beat me up. And he was like, yeah, I should, he was like, yeah, I'm going to do that, essentially. And then he went back to his house. The friend walked in first, and then they and closed the door behind Steven. And then Steven, his wife kicked him out of the house. And then, like, a couple weeks later, um, Sam, my boss at Subway, no, it was a couple months later, Sam, my boss at Subway, said that Steven couldn't come to work anymore because he was like super methed out and showed me a picture of him. And like, it was just really out of left field because he like really loved his daughter. I don't think he like he could have gotten kicked out by his wife and then did drugs because he was sad because he couldn't see his kids. But I took it as he got drugged because he didn't beat me up for being told that I was because like his wife was being told by law enforcement that I was a certain way. And then like all this stuff about me being like about people claiming I'm a pedophile or whatever is what or like a sexual assaulter is what my brother and my mom have told every job I've ever had, everywhere I've ever been. This same stories. I don't never been convicted or charged with any of these crimes, but that's just what they tell people. And so my perception is that Steven's wife was being told that I was these things, whether she believed it or not. She tried to get Steven and her friend or Steven's friend to jump me. That didn't work out because I asked Steven to lie to his wife and say that they did jump me. And then his friend, who was the same friend that took me out to the vehicle, was the same friend that walked in front of him and closed the door on him. And then I presume told his wife what happened, which is why his wife kicked him out of the house. And then and then for whatever reason is why he ended up doing hard drugs. Um, any questions about any of that?
Um, no, it's just generally pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it was weird. It's yeah, it's all been really weird. Oh gosh. And then let's see. Someone just commented on my thing and said, "Hey, buddy, sorry I haven't been around after offering to help. Been dealing with some chronic illness." Um, Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's fine. A lot of people have been mentioning that they've been getting messages from my family or my brother or people say that they know me. And I've gotten a lot of people message to tell me like similar stuff or saying that like just look like odd behavior, which tells me that people are being contacted. And I don't necessarily I think that you like I don't think that you're lying, but if anyone is getting weird messages from people saying that they know what's really going on, please tell me so I can address it. So I can if someone's giving someone proof, like allow me to address it because like my brother keeps on saying that he has evidence, but he doesn't provide any. So we're in as opposed to like all the recordings and everything that I have. So I have thank you, Too Tall. Let's see, so I'm in Prescott, Arizona, Stevens Subway, right around this time. Oh gosh. Okay, let's see. I almost want to pull up my Word document because my series of events are a little fuzzy. Um, because I remember like I got two vehicles, a Chevy Celebrity and a Ford Tempo. There was a Craig Glanville that I drove once from Arizona to Huntington Beach, where he lived in Orange County, Huntington Beach. There's a small story with him or stories with him. And then there's another time where I think it was my Ford Tempo. I drove that all the way to North Carolina, where my cousin Crystal, her current husband, I think she's had many. I don't really know. That's just what I've heard. But her one of her husbands who lived in at a military housing area. I went there and she just ignored me, and then I just drove back to Prescott, Arizona, and that's when me and George like had a really good conversation about traveling, and that's when George told me or told my brother to tell. he's like, you should tell your brother, like, to tell me what you're saying. Like, George is telling my brother, tell your brother what you've been telling everyone. This is really fucking weird. And then George told me, and then my brother said that he's going to regret it. And then George got uh, crimes, convicted of crimes that I don't think he did. And then I remember I went back to Arizona and I tried to sell pot for a little bit. I mean, I went back to California and I tried to sell pot for a little bit. I was staying at Emily Stanton's house. The cops told Emily's mom that I shouldn't be there. Um, and I believe I went back to Arizona and then I stayed at a house, like a punk house kind of. It was like an anarchistish house. And that's where I learned how to play guitar. I bought a guitar for $200. It was a Yamaha, as a 1975 Yamaha FG 110. Um, I worked at a place called Mama Edda's Pizza, which I think is now called Two Mamas or something like that. Um, let's see,
So
Arizona.
you had kind of like a period of just kind of working and chill for a little bit,
I mean, well, I
like
wouldn't
where
say
nothing weird was really happening.
there was a few odd things, nothing super strong. There was a person named Hollis Pritchett that I had a weird experience later that I met in Arizona. There was a Daniel. There's a guy named Daniel. I can't remember his last name right now, but I dated him, and that was really awkward. Like there's a little bit of story there. Nothing like specific. Like he didn't. He wasn't. He's probably one of my few like real partners. I think there's weird stuff all around. Um, and then let's see. He worked at a place called BJ's restaurant. Daniel, and he was gay. He bought me, or obviously he's gay. We were dating. Um, uh, we he got me a ticket to Coachella, and then something happened where I couldn't stay at his house anymore. Because somehow I got from where I was staying at this like punk house, and then somehow I ended up at his house for a little bit. I don't remember how that happened, but he got me a ticket to Coachella because supposedly his friend backed out of Coachella. And then so I got, and then but then I was living with him and we were gonna go to Coachella together. But then a week before the thing was happening, something happened and like he didn't want me in his house anymore. I don't remember what. But then I went back to California, and then me and Daniel met when I was at my grandparents in Chino. My cousin Jamie and me went over to Daniel's house, and I smoked pot. And like I don't know what, I've never had this happen before or after, but I couldn't stand, and I got like really, really, really like gosh, like weirdest feelings. Like I couldn't stand. I fell down the stairs. My cousin Jamie like had to catch me from falling down the stairs, out, like it was outside stairs. Um, but that's how I met Daniel, and then we went. Yeah, and then all that stuff happened later, where I like I would hang out with him more, and I stayed at his house, and he got me the ticket to Coachella. Then I went back to California. Did I come back to Arizona a third time? Because I was at Arizona again. No, okay, I wasn't at the house. The house where I was learning how to play guitar, that happened after Coachella. And then I came back to Arizona because then when I came back to Arizona and lived at that house where I learned how to play guitar, I met Chris Tague and in downtown, and me and Chris Tague, and this is what started my hitchhiking thing. And this is a big, so I'm gonna leave it from before meeting Chris Tague, which after that everything becomes, I remember stuff so much better. And so we're gonna leave before Chris Tague. Anyone have any questions about anything that I've mentioned so far with the people? Anything that I'm not clear on that you want names, like who did people hang out with? Who did people work around? What do you remember here? Yada yada. And then we'll continue from Chris Tague. Uh, that'll be the jump off point once we start again after I answer some questions. Do you want to ask a couple questions first, Andrea? Or
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I might
okay,
think of something like. if you start asking questions about other things or whatever. But I'm good right now. Thank you.
Okay. Someone says I greened out. Christine Glue says I greened out. What does that mean? Did y'all hear everything that I said? Do I need to rephrase something? I was just saying if um at my story where I just left off at, I was talking about I just met Chris Tague, and that's someone who I started hitchhiking with. And there's a lot of everything from then on. I remember it's a lot more like a lot less jumping around, a lot more like what I'd say like not static memory, crystalline memory. I forget, there's a term for it, but like memory that's like really easy to remember, like everything, is from leaving, meeting Chris Tague. That's around the time I met Hollis Pritchett, who later becomes an important person uh, in about a couple years. Um, ask as many questions as we can with Prescott, Arizona, everything that I've mentioned with Coachella, my vehicles, everyone that was involved. Give me questions. I see. Are you safe today? I mean, am I being? And this is one thing. Like I like I've been asked before. Like, am I being trafficked? When this is by law enforcement, am I being trafficked right now? And I was like, well, this moment, this exact moment, like no, like no one's around me. I'm talking to you. And they're like, well, then it's not happening anymore, or that or that you are safe, and that like everything's better now or something. And I'm not saying, I don't think that you're saying that, Libby, but that's just my hesitation for just giving like an easy answer, like yes or no. Is that like it's more convoluted than that? I do not. I consider myself in the situation to where I have to seek asylum in another country. Um, that's how safe I feel. What year are we in at this time? Good question. Good question. Let's see. So I started hitchhiking. Am. I have my guitar. I just got my for my car accident that I mentioned a little bit earlier, which answer questions about all that too if you want. I got my dog and a guitar. So I have my dog Karma with me. I have my guitar. I met Chris Tague. I This was after Melissa's house. So and after I talked to George, and I turned 21 when my brother and Melissa was at this house. I was roughly 21. Wasn't old. I don't think I definitely was not 23. At the oldest, I was 22. By the time I left hitchhiking, and so I was 21, and let's see,
You
21.
went for about a year and a half, 2 years almost.
Yeah, I want to say like a year I was living in Arizona, like bouncing around. Like my Arizona stories all took place roughly within a year. Like I turned 18, spent almost a year in California working at Subway, and then I spent like roughly a year, and then I spent almost a year in Washington or something like 6 months, and then like 6 months in Austin, Texas, and then like a year in my Arizona story. So that's like 3 years, 18, 21. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and so um, let's see. Money, group. Like thinking about stuff when I was younger, I'm thinking like group homes, but let's see. Daniel, George, car. Let's see, I drove to North Carolina and back with my Ford Tempo. I had a Chevy Celebrity that tire popped when I was driving Craig Glanville back to Huntington Beach. Um, yeah. If I was 21, sorry, I got off on a tangent. If I was 21, I'm 32 now. It's the year 2021. I'll be 33 at the end of the year. So it's 33, take away 12. 12 years? So 12 years ago, I think I would have been 21, right? 33 minus 12 is 21. And so
Mm-hmm.
the year 2021, 12 years ago, would be 2008, 9?
9.
2009, yeah. So 2009 is the year that this would have happened.
much time went by, like between starting to hitchhike with Chris Tague, is that how you say his last name? Tague,
Yeah, Tag, Chris.
and like before you got picked up by the state patrol.
Oh well, that yeah. There's so much. There's I would have to remember exactly. I'd have to think about it, and going through my story is gonna help like get that out.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't actually like I don't have a time frame. It was at least a year. I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay, cool.
Someone asks, so that didn't help. It made it to where you're just now facing this stuff. And that's okay that you are. Just please don't stay here or stay there. Um, when you say that didn't help, what are you referring to, um, Christine? Thank you for the question, but I'm just curious what you're referring to. It made it to where you're just now facing stuff. Um, yeah, if you could just clarify what you mean. Sorry. Um, Crystal Stevens. Um, thank you for your thank you. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't know what your question is. Sorry. Wait, parting to not think about it. So I might have missed something. So you're saying so that didn't help. It made it to where you're just now facing stuff, and that's okay that you are. Just please don't stay there in either place. Parting is not parting to not think about it. I'm a little iffy. I think I get your message, but I'm a little iffy on it on understanding it. Sorry. Thank you, Mama Scraw. Mama's Craw Craw. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time and messaging me and giving me like your um, positivity. Um, and so let's see with my story. You say never mind. Yeah, sorry, my bad, Christine. Um, so again, in my story, before I continue on with the next part, is there anything that anyone wants to know more about, like how I met Hollis? What clarifying questions like I don't know what colors my cars were, what years were they, where's the first places I went to in my cars, when I drove across country and back, how did I meet Craig, where did I meet Craig, Glanville,
Yeah,
the person that I drove back. There's so many. I mean, in my mind, there's like 8,000 questions to ask. I can't. Yeah,
all of that. Yeah,
yeah,
I was just yeah. Where did you Greg exactly
yeah.
that? How'd you know him?
Yeah.
And
Well, let's say,
how were things with him? You know,
well, Craig, I
I mean,
met.
obviously good.
Yeah, Craig, I met off of the internet, and there's a weird. And again, so a lot everything that I say, I'm not saying it's implicitly tied to this. I mention things, a lot of things, because there's just odd things that happen. And one of the things that was odd that happened, I met Craig. I was over at his house. We were in his bed, and his mom came home and opened the door, and I put the blanket over me because like I was embarrassed for being gay. And
Uh oh. Uh huh.
and his mom came in, and she's like, "Who's that?" And like I wasn't saying anything, and she was coming in like pulling me the blanket. She's like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, and I try to sound like a girl, but like I was like, "No one," or something like that. And like his mom was like, "I," and this is the thing that was odd. His mom was like, "I knew it. You shouldn't be in like what they're making you do isn't okay," or something like that. And she pulled the blanket off and saw it was like me. And she's like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, 20 something or something. I was like 20 at the time or 19 at least. Um, I was like 19 or something, adult, and then like
Yeah.
that dissipated that right away. Like nothing ever came from that. But that was just a weird. That's like an odd thing that she said to her son, and made it gave me the impression that he was involved in some way as in with law enforcement or something, and then they were using him as like a undercover or criminal informant. That was my impression. I don't have anything to prove that, but that was just from the experience that I had and seeing the things and hearing the things that I heard and seeing the things that I saw, including before I took Craig back to California from Prescott, Arizona. Me, my brother Craig, and Melissa were at the Mexican restaurant next to Melissa's house, and my brother told Craig, or told me, he's like in front of everyone, he's like he's in on this because Craig was doing stuff that was like kind of racist in this Mexican restaurant, and I had to like stand and being like, we're part my dad's side of the family. My dad's uh, mom is Mexican. My grandma is Mexican. So I'd like interject like, no, we're Mexican. Like we're like talking about Mexican stuff isn't racist, but it was really awkward. And my brother called Craig out and was like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's just like, you're a part of this, or you're part of it too. And it was like it wasn't just those words. It was more just to say that like he was really in on it, on like the bigger scope. But I don't know if that's my brother gaslighting me, and I don't like because that's also happened, saying that a lot of people are involved when they're not actually involved, among other things. And so those are the weird Craig events. Um, and
How
then
the conversation come up about like going hitchhiking with him, and like
oh,
what kinds of things did he say to convince you to do that? You
oh,
know, like,
that wasn't with Craig Glanville.
oh,
That was with
okay,
Chris.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, no, that's fine. That was with Chris Haig, is the person I went hitchhiking with.
Oh, that's why I got the names mixed up because
Yeah,
a rhyme. Okay, so that was, and was that before you went hitchhiking
it was
then?
it was after I learned how to play guitar. I met this person named Alex Dabby, who is important to know. Alex Dabby is a person who goes into protests and causes riots. Like he's throws like homemade utensils to like cause like explosions and stuff.
Okay.
Alex Dabby, and I am under the impression from speaking to him, hearing people speak about his family when I was down there, hearing Chris Tague, all these people. I'm 99% sure that that Alex Dabby's family, either his mom or his dad, is in law enforcement. Just to add context. Well, add more context, my brother's baby's mama, Melissa, her dad's also in law enforcement. Just for context. Um, and then, so I met Chris Tague right around the time I met Alex, and then right around the time I played guitar and lived around in that punk house place. I met other people, Marissa, Nicole, a guy with a nickname. His nickname was Shitbag Chris. Um, and yeah, I can't remember a few other people or whatever. But then I did one little hitchhiking trip to Buck, Buckeye I can't remember Bullhead City in Nevada. That was the first place I ever hitchhiked. It was with these punkers that I lived with and next to. We went there and then came back, and then there's a little bit of story there. But then after I was came back with everyone, I met Chris Tague. Chris Tague played guitar. Me and him. He's the first like person that I actually started playing guitar with. We
Yeah.
I don't know how it came up. I think I just mentioned, or he mentioned, one of us just mentioned hitchhiking, and then we went we met people that heard of this thing called a rainbow gathering, and we heard there was a thing called, and this is like at this time I didn't have any concept of what any of this was. This is why I say it like this. But we heard of like a rainbow gathering from hippies that told us there's a nationals, which is like a giant, like I to get people to understand what I'm referring to. I would say it's like a giant festival in the woods. That was in Pennsylvania in the middle of the summer. It was early enough in the year to where me, him, and my dog, Karma, we went down to Southern California hitchhiking, and we hitched up the coast. And then I know we ended up in Barberville and Redway and Ukiah, which are all like Mendocino uh, County and Eureka County. Is that Eureka? Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity are the three counties that we went up to in the far north, where there's like trim work where people used to trim marijuana up there. Uh,
Yeah.
we went
The
up there.
triangle.
Yeah, yeah, we went up there. We went through San Francisco. We just hitched like up and down the coast, just like trying to burn time, um, and just experiencing stuff, experiencing people. He was teaching me how to play guitar. There's a few things that stick out that are like, okay, like this was odd, but nothing too strong. Um, and there's let's see, and then we left. We eventually left, and then went to Boulder, Colorado, which is where me and him split up because we got into a fight, and then he stayed in Boulder. I made it all the way to Pennsylvania. When I came back, like I'll mention my gathering thing, but I want to mention this real quick. When I came back, he was saying that the FBI were after him, and he was under the impression that I was part of the FBI. Important to just keep all that information. Important to just have all that. Chris Tague, also want to note this, when he was like 25, was forced to go to a mental institution for thinking that the FBI was after him. The FBI was probably literally like fucking with him because of his relation to me and his relation to Alex Dabby, who's Alex Dabby was at his house when I went and visited him in Massachusetts, North Adams, Massachusetts, like years later. Really weird. Alex Dabby's a piece of shit. Um, but so to keep on track. So we're at Boulder, Colorado. Was hitchhiking with Chris. Made it to Boulder. Left him there, or like that's where we split up. I made it all the way to Pennsylvania. I remember one of the last rides I got. This woman picked me up, and she had a bunch of lighters. And I heard that you could trade stuff at Rainbow. And she's like, I have a pack, like literally like 50, 60, 70 lighters, like tons of lighters. She's like, you can have these. And I took those with me to Rainbow and to trade circles where I could trade. When I first got to Rainbow, I walked down, and it was like the 4th of July. It was right about the 4th of July, and there was like people like to Main Meadow, and there's people like fire spinning and doing all this like stuff. To me was like, oh, like this is I didn't know people did this, any of this stuff. I didn't know people like camped outside. Really, I didn't know people like fire spun. I didn't know people hung out in gatherings like this, except for like the closest thing before this was Coachella, that I went to, which is the only festival that I've ever been to. And then So I went into the gathering, walked down, everyone's doing fire spinning, it's nighttime. This woman walks up to me and says, hey, like I know the perfect place where you can camp. You should go over there. And we go to this place which referred to as Space Camp, is what the person who had like, everyone when you have your own camp, if you're in a group of people, you could make a name for your camp, and that's how people like will refer to you and know where to go, what campsite you're at. And so we went to this camp, where I met Amanda Moe, this guy named Otter that was dating Amanda Moe, and then two or three other people, that I don't remember their names. But I fell asleep and woke up, and when I woke up, and I mentioned this in part yesterday, I met Jay and Marky there, who I don't know if you remember those names, but Jay and Marky, I mentioned that they messaged me off of MySpace when I was like 13, like right around the time I was at the social services, like just like, hey, like you seem really cool. And then I just happened all the way across the country in Pennsylvania at a rainbow gathering in the middle of the night. The first place I camped got taken by a woman who I didn't know to a camp spot I've never been to, and happened to wake up in the same camp spot as Jay and Marky. Like, and then I'm not saying this just from that. There's so many more stories with Jay and Marky, but from everything going on after, including this, they were involved. Marky was underage when Jay started grooming him. Jay is like at least I don't know their ages, but there's at least a 10-year difference. And Marky was underage when he was messaging me when I was 13, and he was having a relationship with Jay. Um, but Marky's a piece of shit too. Um, and so let's see, Rainbow Gathering, Space Camp. I met a woman there at Space Camp that told she was trying to get everyone because a lot of people have nicknames at gatherings.
Mhm.
Um, she tried to get everyone to say that my nickname, and this is very important if you know anything about like Greek history, um, super important. And this is yeah, she tried to give me the nickname, and she like made a point that everyone should call me this. Uh, was the Fisher King. Does anyone know who the Fisher King is in Greek literature? Like, I know who he is. I know his fucking backstory. It's really morose and gross. That's pretty morose. It's disgusting. It's repulsive that someone would say this. And if you know this story and then everything that I've been through afterwards, it would compel, I think, most people to believe that this person was involved. Um, the Fisher King was someone who lost his junk. He was castrated essentially. Um, and so this woman um, tried to say that that was my name, and then she was trying to get people like at this gathering. She was like panicking and crying and like showing people like messages on her thing, and like it was this really weird, crazy event. Um, and there's tons of people at rainbow gatherings. You know, I'm not the only person that has to corroborate what I say. But so with rainbow, uh, gosh, is there any? So yeah, anything that I've mentioned so far. Is there any questions that anything has with me going with Chris Haig, hitchhiking throughout California, through Colorado? I left him in Pennsylvania. When I went into Pennsylvania, the gathering in Pennsylvania, I got picked up by that car. It was in the Allegheny National Forest. Is where this gathering was. I met a woman there that took me to this camp spot, and that woman, I never caught her name, but she is someone who consistently has been around in my life after this point. I remember her consistently. So, is there any questions that anyone has with everything else I mentioned about rainbow, like rainbow gatherings? It's a big own event. I'm sure there's probably questions that y'all have about rainbow gatherings or about hitchhiking. Like, what was it like to me? What was the weather like? Who did I meet? What places did I end up first? Um, and then again, any old questions in the past. So there's a few things here I'm gonna look through real quick. Do you have anything in mind that you want to mention?
Yeah, did you say Fisher King, like F-A, like the fish,
Yeah,
but like Fisher?
King, the Fisher King. Um,
Okay.
let me let's see. Just so I have this up. Oh, that's not it. Um, yeah. Kingfisher. Sorry. Um, but let's see. To give like I can read this, but it's kind of long. But yeah. What was your question around again? Sorry, so I
Oh,
just looked it up.
just if I had the name right, because it was like an easy thing to pull up right away. I
Oh
was
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
pull it up, but you pull it up, so that's great. Yeah,
yeah.
but
King.
yeah, read it. Read
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
hooked.
yeah. I'm gonna read this and then answer these. I see a few messages on here. But let's see. The mythology of Kingfisher, also known as the Fisher King. Alcyone was the daughter of King Elios of Aeolila. I'm not pronouncing these right. This is very Greek. Either by Eneret or Aegail, these are all names. She was a Thessalian princess and later queen of Thracias. Ceyx was the son of Isphosphorus, often translated as Lucifer. Alcyone, the Ceyx married and were very happy together in Trachis. According to pseudo-Apollodorus' account, they often sacrilegiously called each other Zeus and Hera. This angered Zeus, so while Ceyx was at sea going to consult an oracle. According to Ovid, the god threw a thunderbolt at a ship. Soon after, Morpheus, the god of dreams, disguised as Ceyx, appeared to Alcyone in an apparition to tell her of his fate, and she threw herself into the sea in a grief. I don't want to get. I know like these Greek stories get really long, and I don't want to. I'm I don't know exactly where in this story this is. Um, Yeah, these stories get. I don't want to. Like these Greek stories are really long, and so I'm kind of concerned about mentioning about reading through all this, and because that's just yeah. There's yeah. I'm gonna try and find like one small article about it, but as that's also on the back burner, is there anything else that you have questions about?
I can't really think.
Okay, let me go through a few things here. Let's see. We have. I just wanted to say I'm sorry all this happened to you. Let's see. Da, da, da. I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook about the corruption in child welfare. It's so sad, all the kids traumatized by all those people. I'm definitely going to go through and catch up on your story in particular, but I just want to let you know, thank you. After this after this journaling is complete, what is next with it? What is next, like with me, or like what is next with all the situation? Well, I have the first half, or the first part. I don't know how many parts there are going to be. There might be three. Um, but I have the first part on YouTube. This is already streaming on YouTube Live right now, and so there's that. That's also available for people. Um, and I mean, essentially, I'm just trying right now. I'm just trying to get all this stuff out in like one big chunk, and so I don't have to tell like the whole story in some grandiose way again. I can just kind of like, this is how it happened. This is blah blah blah. And then like refer people like go watch this YouTube video. It explains it here or something. It's just easier. And for me, I have goals of like I want to seek asylum into a new country. I don't feel safe in this country. And so that's my own personal goal. And then there's like private investigator goal, there's lawyer goals, there's personal, like I have like personal goals. Like I want to learn how to make a video game that I've been trying to learn forever. It's like a completely personal thing. Um, there's like a million things. There's like that's like the least important thing with the video game thing. And there's like yeah, getting to another country. There's trying to find my dog. There's getting the story out, speaking to lawyers and private investigators and journalists and so much more. It's so far ahead. I really can't even. I don't know what's next. I have no idea. Like I don't know what I have like plans, but my plans was basically like the plans was like on like if, I don't know how to explain this metaphor, but like
There's 1,000 steps to each
yeah,
step of a plan.
yeah. There's 1,000 steps to each plan. It's
Many
like
steps.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a roller coaster. Um, yeah, no, I've heard people use that term targeted individual, but yeah, no, I would say I would agree. What is the location in Pennsylvania? Where the rainbow, and this is something that you could check out if you join the biggest rainbow family group on Facebook. Is let's see, I want to give you the exact name, but when you go to this group, you talk about, hey, what year did this like? When was the Allegheny National Forest Rainbow Gathering? So people will tell you, but I'm also gonna uh, like you can find out information on gatherings through them also like really easily, and you have like consensus, like a bunch of people throwing in their 2 cents. But then you also have oh yeah, but then I was gonna say it was the Allegheny National Forest, but if you wanted to with these Facebook groups, why I mentioned them is if you want to corroborate what I'm saying, you want to go to the biggest group being um coolest thing on my computer right now. Sorry. Uh, where's this group? Annual Rainbow Family Gathering of the Tribes. Annual Rainbow Family Gathering of the Tribes, and it's a picture of like a cartoon rainbow with two people sitting on it, like painting the rainbow. Um, that's if you want to like look into if you want to ask questions about gatherings or have just do stuff. Um, but yeah, it was in the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. Um, let's see. Someone says understood, or C Dizzle says understood. Good to have a journal. Um, yeah, and Mama Scray or Cray Cray, Craw Craw. I don't know. You say that yeah, you're basically a targeted individual. The fact that all these people, including the FBI, are messing with you. I kind of already mentioned that, but like yeah, no, totally. Like I mean, I just don't like using terms like that because, like, I just think people, like, I've never became familiarized with these terms until meeting other people, and I think a lot of people hear terms like that, and I don't think that this was your intention or anything. A lot of people hear terms and they jump to like conspiracy or like it's tied to like groups and stuff like that. One of the reasons why I don't like why people mention QAnon a lot to me, and I don't like talking about any of that stuff because one, I don't like I've not experienced any of what a lot of people are talking about with these groups, but also when you deal with like groups or terms that groups use, is that it gives like the general population a specific understanding depending on where they get their information from when it comes to these groups and these terms that they use. And so I don't use terms like targeted person because I think that would give the impression to a lot of people of like conspiracy stuff. I use the terms corruption and organized crime, and just harassment or something. That's the general terms that I personally use. No one has to use these terms, obviously, but yeah. Someone said, the Mama Cray Cray says, I understand. I've never been through it, but I've researched things like this. But I get what you're saying, and it's definitely all of those things. Yeah, yeah, 100%. 100%. Thank you. Um, let's see. So I'm at the Allegheny National Forest rainbow gatherings. There's still no questions anyone has about rainbow gatherings or anything. I'm a little surprised. Um, but if yeah, anyone has questions about any of that stuff, continue asking, or think about it for a couple more
Did
seconds
you,
and ask. Oh, you have a question?
did you say you didn't really remember her name? That lady that said the thing about the kingfisher.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember her name. She was older, heavy set. She had long gray hair, and she was wearing like she kind of looks like an older version of. Okay, if y'all seen this, I haven't seen the show. I just know who she is because she's everywhere for some reason. Like the last 2 years, I think shows like this are garbage personally, but I've not seen it, so I can't really say. But the interpretation, just in case people watch it, I don't want to offend. There's a show called The Tiger King or something like that, and there's a woman. I can't remember her name, but she was like the one of the people that they thought killed the tiger person guy, whatever. But that woman looks, and I'm not. It's not the person that I'm thinking of,
I'm
but
sorry, I can't
the
can't
woman.
help you out. I haven't seen that
Oh
either.
yeah, you're fine. But that woman looks like a younger version of the woman that was at Rainbow. Like, yeah, Carol Baskin. It looked very similar to her, but it wasn't Carol Baskin. Like, it was someone much older, but that same like silhouette and like body language, um, is how I would explain it. That was the person at Rainbow, but yeah, she had like gray hair, long hair, wore like flowy clothes, and just like pretended to be like a spirit of the woods kind of person. Um, okay, yeah, someone's like, now two people are like, what are rainbow gatherings? Okay, what is that rainbow gathering? I was just surprised that like I don't know, mention a concept that most people I presume are familiar with, and that's why I'm like, I want to ask questions about these things. Um, can I ask? I'm sure you tell in your vids, but when did you realize this was happening and all of the same people were showing up in your life? That's a good question. Let me answer that since it's easier, and then I'll answer the rainbow gathering question since that's more of a broad question. Um, when did I realize this was happening? Different things I realized at different times. Like I realized my mom was messing with me when I was roughly like 14, 15. A little bit like right before I went back to social services, I noticed some stuff was happening, but I didn't understand like the extent. Um, and it wasn't until I was after the Rainbow Gathering, about a year around, like I left the Rainbow Gathering, met up with Chris again in Boulder. Not really met up, I just found him in Netherland, which is right near Boulder. A lot of people hitchhike from Boulder to Netherland and camp out in the woods and then come down and street perform in Boulder as like travelers. I met him back in Netherland, and then sometime after that, um, was it before that or after that? Right around this time, it was after Pennsylvania for sure. It was after the Pennsylvania Rainbow Gathering and before 2011 is when I got picked up by state patrol, and this guy was like, "Hey, there's FBI. They're in California. They want to speak to you. They're going to speak to you through the speaker in my car, in my patrol car. You mind getting in and talking to these people about some stuff that may or may not have happened to you when you were younger?" Um, and I got in. I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, I threw my guitar in, threw my dog in. I hopped in, and then I was being asked questions like, who do I remember? Who was involved in all of this stuff? What were their names? Where was the stuff at? Like, very inquisitive questions. Like, they want to know, like, how to investigate this. Um, I mentioned everything that I knew, everyone that I remembered, and then it was becoming like a really long conversation. And so they're like, okay, we're gonna have you continue hitchhiking around the country. When you're ready, I'm sorry, when I'm ready with your case, when I have your case all situated, I'll ask you to come back to California. I'll have you come back to California, and we'll proceed with your case. And I'm like, awesome, great. And then we he says he's going to continue having me picked up like wherever I go, like to keep in touch with him, and he's going to have me picked up by other law enforcement to continue the story, to ask more inquisitive questions. And we do this for like 2 years, at least a year, um, where it came out that I think I said 2 to 3 years once, but trying to like now gauge it, everything how I in this long form conversation, I want to say it was at least a year, um, and um, I totally lost track of what I was saying. Oh, and uh, kept on getting picked up, asked more questions, and then finally got asked. A police officer that was picking me up, the law enforcement that was picking me up, that was having these people, that was being the catalyst for how I would interact with FBI and law enforcement in California. After about a year, maybe 2 years of doing this, I uh, they were asking me questions, and at the very end, the officer was like, "Why don't you put him in witness protection?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, let's do it. Like that sounds like a good idea." Essentially, and then the response I got, the guy on the, and I'm paraphrasing a bit here. He said, he's like, "Oh shit, you really did it now. We have to kill him. I'm the first person that molested him." And I'm using different language partially because I'm not speaking verbatim, and also because I don't want to get kicked off live. But he's like, we have to kill him. I'm the first person that sexually assaulted him. That person, I was told his name was Garrett Cormier. My mom later on would have these same conversations on the mic with Garrett Cormier, Rob Campbell, Luke Campbell, my brother, and this kid named Michael, who I mentioned in my stories earlier, that they now were trying to get him to say that I was sexually assaulting him when we were younger. They got his sister to commit suicide, and then they supposedly, and I really believe this by how Michael was interacting with me. They had his dad. They either kill his dad or has dad commit suicide or something. Michael cried. Like he was talking to me. They let us talk to each other. This was after it came out about what they were doing to me. This is like kind of when I realized everything that was going on. But so like sometime after that, as they were trying to get brought in Michael, this kid that was like 3 years younger than me, or he wasn't a kid now, but he was like 3 years younger than me. Um, After like they had him and his dad involved, and then one day his dad started crying on the mic because he was like, uh, because, and this is what Michael told me later, is that they were being told that I was a bad person, and that they were listening in and following me for years and years and years, and became evident that I wasn't doing anything wrong and that I was a good person. Michael's dad, in the middle of like one of our conversations on the speaker, just interrupted and said something. The guys told him to shut the f up. I thought it was one of their law enforcement buddies. Later, like a few days later, Michael said that he hasn't seen his dad in like a long time, like a week or so, and that um, he like it came out that he believes either that they killed his dad or that they told Michael that his dad committed suicide. And Michael said that he doesn't know what is worse, either that his dad is actually dead or his dad thinks that Michael is dead and that he's still out there. And Michael was like crying really hardcore, and they were torturing this person. This person I've seen for years. The story gets so much fucking. This is why I've tried to articulate myself really particular by telling my story. I know if I were to jump off with like the biggest stuff first, it would just make very little sense. But it gets way bigger. This is not fucking the tip of the iceberg. Like, or I should say, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. There's still so much more. But this is when this is how like it came out.
Thinking.
This is how it came out that they were feeding me. They fed me a human. Michael told me that like everyone was laughing. The police officer that I was with thought it was disgusting these people were doing to me. They said that she was one of the many weak links. I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but one of the many weak links that they got to commit suicide. I don't know if that's true, but supposedly they got a lot of law enforcement officers to commit suicide. Um, Michael when they were laughing at me for eating pork and I freaked the fuck out, or for eating human, I freaked the fuck out. Um, they said Michael said that my brother was laughing, and that's the first time I was like, maybe my brother isn't a good person and he isn't being forced to do this stuff. And then like it came out later in these conversations that my brother says he doesn't give a f about me. He just wants this shit to end. He had a normal life before I came back into his life, and I was like, I'm not doing anything. And he's like, I don't care. Like, I just want you to die because this is ruining my life. Eventually, uh,
Hey,
eventually,
sorry.
no, you're fine. Eventually, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. Um, yeah, there's so much more. There's still so much more. Um, do you have any questions on the computer?
Um, sorry. Between kids and my cat is being a child right now.
I know,
Um,
that's fine. I understand you have to deal with you have to help your kids and whatnot. Do
yeah,
you want me to
I think
paraphrase?
I'm gonna have to get. I what?
Do you want me to paraphrase what happened real quick, or are you gonna say that you have to get off?
Yeah, paraphrase real quick. I think I'm gonna have to get off. Don't do that, honey. The
Sure,
because
sure,
my headphones are dying. But then I'll be able
sure.
to like plug it in on my phone, and I'll stay in the chat while I'm putting her back to sleep
Okay.
and
Well,
everything.
okay. Well, let's see. Let's kind of summarize everything and get to the end of the or get to like kind of this next end of the story. And let's see. So I was in Pennsylvania, and then I went to Colorado, met up with Chris Tague. That's where let's leave the story there because there's more. There's a lot to explain from this part on. That is kind of going to be a lot. So let's go from. Let's see. I was at ran into Chris Quantz in Netherlands, which is near Boulder. Before that, I was at Rainbow. Before that, I was hitchhiking with Chris. I think I said Chris Quantz. I'm going to say Chris Tague. Uh,
Uh huh.
so let's go forward. Sorry. So Austin, Texas, Prescott, Arizona, dragged my car around East Coast, met Craig, West Coast, or in California. All that stuff happened in Arizona. Met Hollis Pritchett, met Chris Tague, hitchhiked to California, went up the coast of California, and then went over to Colorado, lost him in Colorado, went to the Rainbow Gathering, and got back to the Rainbow Gathering, or left the Rainbow Gathering, found him again in Netherlands. Do you have any questions to about any of that? And I'm still going to answer those Rainbow Gathering questions. People ask about the Rainbow family. I'm still going to answer that. I haven't forgotten. But
No,
and that's a big
no,
question.
I'm good, thank you.
And that's a big question that I'm not going to answer. I know you have to go soon, but do you have any like shorter questions that you want me to answer real quick?
Mm, no, no, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm sure you got a lot going on.
Yeah, I just got a lot for a second. I'm so sorry. And then it's like I was trying to fix the sound and stuff too to make it better. So I don't know. Maybe it's just my like Wi-Fi because it did that last night too. It was like after a couple of hours, it wasn't working very well again. So I'm gonna stay in the chat and like listen, you know, and but I don't know. I think I have to close Zoom for the night.
No, that's fine. Do you? Is it okay if we continue tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then tomorrow it
Mhm.
should be
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Sorry.
Tomorrow should be the last one, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, as long as you need, you
sure.
know, like we can do it.
Uh,
Like I don't mind at all
yeah.
because we've been trying to get like everything out, you know. It's like I just feel bad because I am not a very good interviewer, and there's so many things, but I'm happy to, for sure.
Um, so let's see. Do you want to schedule earlier time or possible or same time? Is that do you prefer same time?
Um, yeah, uh, maybe we could probably get on about 7:38, my time. Oh wait, that would be like way earlier yours.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Earlier the better for me, to be honest. Earlier the
Okay,
better.
okay. Or wait, pending your brother, if that actually pans out for once,
Well,
that
he
would
says,
be,
yeah, I'd say just do it as early as you can. I'm gonna work my schedule around you, not around my brother, since he's not consistent at all or anything, and also he's part of the problem. So I'm gonna, and my most important thing right now is getting this whole story out in like just a few chunks. And so
right,
yeah,
definitely.
and then
Um,
after that, I could
yeah,
after
I just wanted you to, yeah, I want you to have that opportunity. So that's one more opportunity that he can't say that you dipped out on. You know what I mean?
oh
If
yeah,
I, so
we'll see if he gets a hold of me
as
at
soon as,
3.
yeah, let's just say as soon as you're done with that, or if that doesn't work out, then like 4:30 or after
So
your time.
we'll say I'll just for my followers, I'll get on in between 3 and 4, and then in between 4 and 4:30. You think that you'll be able to continue?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
cool.
Maybe 45,
Maybe 4.
4:45 at the latest. But yeah,
Okay. So,
before 5.
yeah, so before 5. So I'll get on between 3 and 4 is when I'll get on, and I'll wait for people to kind of show up. I'll ask some beginning questions, etc. Kind of get people back on track of um, in the story of where we are.
Yeah.
Um, and then in between 4:30 and 5, I'll continue on with the story, and that's going to be 4:30 or 5 my time, which is Pacific time. Um, and so yeah, so 5 uh, again 3 to 4 my time Pacific time is when I'll get on. 5 o'clock by 5 o'clock we'll continue with the story, and I'm gonna be on for a little bit longer on TikTok live to answer some more questions. I still got to answer what the rainbow family is or rainbow gatherings are.
Yeah.
And so okay, awesome. I will let you go, and then I'll give you I'll send you a link for another Zoom tomorrow. About probably I'll send it at probably about 4, and just so you have it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you for
All
your
right.
time.
Yeah, of course. I'll be in the chat a little bit.
Okay.
Quiet. Okay.
Bye. Okay. And meetings. And I just gotta shut off. Let's see. I gotta sign into my YouTube account, and I got to. I'm stopping my stream over here real quick. Stop streaming.